Sunshine's back. Here comes the heat. Heat. I love it. Personally, I love it. Some don't. I do. Love it. Heat, humidity, fogging up your glasses when you walk out the door. Sunglasses, regular glasses, reading glasses, glass of beer. I don't care. It's going to fog up, but I love it. Love the heat. We don't get stuff like this too often in our area. And this takes me back to being a kid, growing up, walking out the door, being hot, turning on the hose, heading to the pool, doing yard work, all that kind of stuff with my dad. So, yeah, I'm giddy. I'm giddy for all this stuff. So good stuff. Excited about it. Although if I was a race car driver heading up to Road America this weekend, I think I'd be a little bit, I'd be a little nervous, I guess, just because you got to do nothing but hydrate over the next 3, 4, 5 days. Just hydrate. They can stay hydrated in the cars because they do have water packs in there, and they do run up through their helmets, and they can drink as they drive. But yeah, you're going to lose a lot of body weight when it comes to water and such and fluids as you cruise around that racetrack. That's probably the heat index on Sunday is supposed to be 107 in the area in Elkhart Lake. I got to imagine on the track it's going to be about 117. It'll be brutal, but it should be interesting to say the very least. So good grip, though, when you talk about the rubber on the road. Good grip on the track. So anyway, that being said, the rain is gone, and that means the Brewers will play today. Unfortunately, they did not play last night. They had a big giant Reynolds wrap tarp out all night last night, and I saw one of the Brewers website videos taking videos of the rain. I get it, rainouts happen, but man, couldn't they have made that doubleheader up today? What is there to prepare for? That's what I don't understand. It's like just back it up one day, no big deal. You do it in the beginning of the season, where you can back it up and have another day for a game. Why don't you just do it now? Get it over with. Why do you have to play a 5-game series and put the Brewers in somewhat of a precarious position, playing 18 games in 17 days down the stretch? That I don't understand. But then again, the Brewers will have 5 games in Chicago, and maybe at that point in time, they still have their own fate in their hands, and they get hot at the right time and move in and knock them off. So who knows? Who knows? So there you go. Welcome into the program today. Brewers back at it today. Excited about that. You got the calmness today after it sank in what Ed Policy had to say and all the Packers stuff. Jair is now a Baltimore Raven. You've got the NBA, which ends tonight because I believe Oklahoma City, book it, going to end it with or without Halliburton. But I just think Oklahoma City's going to end the series tonight. I think that might be it. We're going to talk some Pro Football Focus today, talk a little bit about the Packers. But I've got a whole list of stuff that I don't give two damns about, that people are asking me about, and people care about it, I guess. Or they're just asking for opinion just to say, does this matter? And I've got a whole list of stuff I don't give two damns about. I really don't. And I know I should, but I don't. It doesn't do anything in our world. You know what I mean? So going to get into a little bit of that list today. Maybe we can fire one of those up on kind of a slow day today, sports-wise. You don't run into many of those, but every now and then it happens. So I can see something like that. When I know it's a slow sports day, when people start texting and emailing, what do you think of this? And I have to go look it up. Because either one, I didn't see it, or two, I really don't care. It's bad to say, but it's like, there was one time there was a ball player coming to town, and I was pretty good friends with him. He was a baseball player. He's coming to town. They were going to play the Brewers. Called him up, and I said, hey, you guys are here, but your off day is here. Would you like to do this? And he texted me back. He said, Bill, no, I think I'm going to play some golf. And by the way, when it comes to this, I'm not going to say what it was. I'd rather watch two dogs blank. And I pondered that for a minute. And I thought that's a guy that, one, is loaded with honesty, and two, really has a unique way of cutting through the crap. So every now and then I'll text it out. Like a friend will say, hey, what'd you think of this? And I'll send that back to him. Today's that day. We're just going to say, I don't care. I don't care. So there you go. All right, that's it. So if you want to get a hold of us today, 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. You can text us 608-321-1670, 608-321-1670. You can also track us down via YouTube. Go to youtube.com. That is youtube.com/Bill Michaels Show. youtube.com/Bill Michaels Show. You can find us on Twitter, on X at Bill_Michaels, at Bill_Michaels. You can find Grant at Wisco Grant, WISCO at Wisco Grant. We are on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, under the THE Bill Michaels Show. You can find us there, or an amalgamation thereof, a grouping thereof. You can also track us down on the Twitch app, the Kink app. Well, maybe there's who knows. Kate was doing her voices again this morning, so who the hell knows? You can find us on the Kick app, the LinkedIn app. You can email the program, thebillmichaels@gmail.com. You can find us on the website, thebillmichaels.com. You can also find us over at the app, WOZN, the Zone Madison. And then you can also hit us up over at Spotify, Apple, iTunes, Google Podcast after the fact. And on Saturday night, 8 o'clock Central Time, we are a television show on My 24 Milwaukee. There you go. My 24 Milwaukee. Good stuff. All right. Let's do this. Let's bring in Grant Bills. Grant, how you doing today, man?
I'm doing good. I'm excited to hear about all these things that you don't care about.
Yeah,
I'm intrigued with this as a topic. It's like, hey, I'm really fired up because I'm not fired up about these things. Yeah. I love this.
I'll give you one. The whole discussion of LeBron talking about rings and legacies. I don't give two flying F's about it.
Yeah.
You know why? Part of it is because one, it's like great players and Hall of Fame players are great players. That's it. Period. We know it when we see it, right? They're great players. People that don't have rings, but were great players. Charles Barkley, great player. Karl Malone, great player. Dan Marino, great player. We know it. We know great players when we see them. We don't need somebody. Mike Trout, great player. Unfortunately, he's been banged up, but great player stuck in a craptastic situation, right? We know it. We know great players. We don't need anybody to tell us what a great player is. So, first and foremost. The other part of that is LeBron's doing the, amount of rings and greatness and blah, 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 whatever, because he loses the GOAT argument all the time when it comes to Michael Jordan because Michael Jordan's got 6 rings. Well, it was my teammates. It's whether or not you're on a good team or a bad team. And it's like, we know LeBron doesn't do anything without being self-serving. Everything that comes out of that crap face's mouth is self-serving. So I don't care what he has to say, because it's all self-serving to him. And he's trying to make his own argument as to how he's better than Michael Jordan. If anybody ever saw Michael Jordan play, you would know that Michael Jordan at times threw the entire team on his back and said, here, we're going to win it just because I'm going to win it for us. And LeBron has not been able to consistently do that. He's a terrific player. There's no doubt about it. He's one of the greatest of all time. But he is not Michael Jordan. So I don't want to hear the ring argument. We know greatness when we see it. We've witnessed it. We saw greatness in Jack Nicklaus. We saw it rise up even when he was past his 40s. We knew greatness then. We knew greatness with Arnold Palmer. We saw greatness with Tiger Woods. We know what it is. We know what it is. No, I don't want LeBron to shut up and dribble. He can talk about a lot of other stuff, but he's full of crap on a lot of things. And then when he says things and he's wrong, he doesn't apologize for it. All he does is go away. He's a coward. Always has been, always will. So there you go. So that's one thing. I don't really care about the petition that's floating around out there to get Paige Spiranac, now that they've got a new PGA commissioner, as a sideline reporter. I really don't care.
Did you see Schefter's doing reports from the golf tournament this week? That's also something
there's part B of that particular comment.
I'd rather have Paige Spiranac than Adam Schefter. I don't really care about either. But
I don't care about either. And the Mike Greenberg, I made the mistake. Oh, God.
Why did you do it?
I did it. I'm sorry. I woke up this morning and I had ESPN on last night. I was watching some of the Baseball World Series, and then I turned the TV on this morning and I just put it on in the background and I turned it up and I'm doing stuff around the house. And damn it, Get Up was on. And then Mike Greenberg, the hyperbole of that Goomba. Oh my God. Oh, the question all of America wants to know, Shefty, is if it's a 50-foot putt for birdie to win, and then you're going to get a breaking news. What's going to come first? Oh, shut up. Shut up. Oh, my God. Shut up. So I just, and I literally, I was at the time that came on, Grant, I was steam cleaning the stairs from my landing when you walk in the door out of the garage into my living room. I was sitting on a stair, steam cleaning the stairs because I'm getting the house ready for the weekend for my son and his wife's baby shower. Cleaning the stairs. And I heard Greenberg say, quote, all of America wants to know. And I ran up I literally stopped, threw down the nozzle, ran up the stairs and could not find for that split second my remote control because I couldn't figure out where it was. And it turns out it was over in like the breakfast bar. And I had to run over and get it and go, and change the channel. I couldn't do it. And my truck is out right now out in the garage or out in the driveway with my trailer hitched up to it because I got to go pick up tables and chairs after the show today. And so I couldn't run out to the garage and go slamming a appendage in a car door because it wasn't there. So my next option was to run towards the remote control and turn it off. So all of that going on.
Well, millions across America rush to the TV anytime they hear Mike Greenberg say the question that all of America needs answered, or the thing that everyone wants to know.
Yeah, it's such a craptastic question.
Well, nobody tees it up like Mike Greenberg. No one teases the next topic for the other side of the break quite like Mike Greenberg either.
Yeah, he makes me shut him off every day. Every day. When he's not there, it is a joyous day to talk sports.
I'm surprised that you turn it on in the first place.
Good
for you.
Right. I agree. I can admit I'm that horse's ass. What else do we have here for you? Oh, by the way, so today, and Jan, no, unfortunately I'm not. I am not going to see Def Leppard tonight with Tesla out of Summerfest. Summerfest kicks off tonight on the lakefront, and they're going to have a warm weekend to kick it off, but I'm not going to be going with Def Leppard and Tesla. By the way, speaking of Tesla and everything else going on with it, they have, and I posted this on our social media platform. I posted it on Instagram, Facebook. I don't know if I did TikTok or not, but I am going. We're going to be, the broadcast is going to be live out in Sturgis, South Dakota. Grant, you have been invited. I know you're not a motorcycle rider, but you've been invited if you'd like to go, just to witness the spectacle that is. The 85th annual Sturgis Motorcycle Ride coming up at the end of July into August. And they have a hell of a lineup, and they're about to announce Wednesday's headliner. And we are going to get the announcement on our airwaves next week from the lead singer of the band Jackal, Jesse James Dupree, is going to be here. He called me yesterday and said, hey, did you see? And I said, I saw when it came out, because I saw, first of all, Michael Ballard, who owns Full Throttle Saloon, put a video out, and I saw that. But Mike Wangren, who is the drummer from the band Disturbed, texted me and said, hey, you going to Sturgis? We're going to be out there. We want to see you. And I said, I'll be there. No problem. We'll actually be broadcasting live on Monday and Tuesday out there. And he said, well, then we'll come over and say hi. I said, fantastic. Great stuff. So, but they got another announcement coming up for the Wednesday headliner. So they're going to be doing Disturbed, and then I'll see Tesla out there. Then Wednesday's going to be I don't know who. And then on Thursday, it'll be Jackal as the headliner with Danny Coker from Count 77 and from the show Counting Cars. Their band is going to be the warm-up band for Jackal. So anyway, speaking of music and seeing Tesla tonight, I wouldn't mind seeing Def Leppard, but the answer is no, because I'm going to see actually Tesla out at Sturgis. But when I was talking to Jesse yesterday, he said, hey, are you and your producer coming out? And I said, I know I'm going to be there, but Grant does not ride, which means you have to drive everywhere, which is not the easiest thing to do, specifically in downtown Sturgis when you got, 500,000 motorcycles on the highway, which is in a town smaller than, it makes La Crosse look like a metropolis. So I said, I don't know, but you have been invited if you'd like to go. So there you go.
What if I had a moped or a Vespa? Would I get beat up?
Yes.
I was gonna say. So that before you even said, I'm like, okay. So
no, here's the thing. If we could find somebody to give us a trailer big enough and get you one of those side-by-sides, like a side-by-side, those cool like Razors or something. Those are street legal out there.
Sure.
So if you found a street legal one that we could take with us that you could drive, that's not considered uncool. Mm-hmm. You go by on a Vespa with a helmet, you might as well just drive that thing right into a wall, but especially like a powder blue, but you find a cool side-by-side. Well, those are legal out there. You can drive them all over the place.
A slingshot or whatever those things are called with the two in the front or the two in the back. Those are a little bit bigger though. The slingshot's like that's more car size.
That's almost like a car. Yeah. Now, if you find like one of those motorcycles that have two wheels in the front and one in the back, you ride it like a motorcycle, or one that has two wheels in the back and like a trike, that's still okay. So, but you don't even have a motorcycle license, do you?
No.
Okay.
Lord, no. I just got a passport for the first time last year. I'm progressing through life here very slowly, knocking one thing off the list at a time.
All right. Well, we're trying to kind of broaden your culture.
I do like road trips. Yeah. I do like road trips quite a bit.
Well, we're heading out, and you can certainly stay near us with us on the campground out there. We could get you one of those trailers, kind of like what we have with the RV, but we've got myself and Kristen and another couple that are coming with us. So out to Sturgis. So we're going to be cramped in there, but you could always, and then again, there's a tent. You could always do the tent. You're a tent kind of guy.
Oh yeah. I don't need the creature comforts. You know me.
So, and if it gets real hot or stormy, you can always come inside and just flop on the couch. But
like the dog. Okay, let him inside.
Right.
Make a little spot on the floor, put some newspaper down.
We had weather last year, man. That was pretty severe. And my buddy Justin was camping outside next to us, and the tent collapsed on him in the middle of the night. So that was, which on one hand was kind of scary, but on the other hand was kind of funny.
Well, exactly. It's a good story. Look, we're talking about it, right? Almost a year later.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So there you go. What else do we have? I think that's kind of where we start today. It's just everything's on the table. It's kind of like when you walk in and you're going to a party and they say, bring an appetizer, and you really don't have much. And what you do is you walk in and you go here. And it's like one of those cans of like French dip, whatever. And then you've got like a bag of chips, and then you got candy bars, and you got, some other like bags of M&Ms to put like you're going to put them in a bowl to make them more elegant, and you throw them in a bowl, and then you got something else. And then you got like a 6-pack of like assorted beers that you can say, hey, if anybody wants one of these, because 4 of them are drank already. And that's the kind of day it is. That's the kind of day it is, to be perfectly honest with you. It's
potpourri.
It's just throw it on the table. We got a cornucopia of crap, and here it is. And I hate to set the show up that way, but we keep it real. We're 100 on this show. So today is like, what do you got today, Bill? You got something insightful? Hell no. I got nothing. I woke up, cleaned the house. House smells all sanitized and nice. Started reading, looking around a little bit, shut off ESPN because my skin began to crawl, turned on Evo thinking, okay, maybe there's something there that I missed. And all I get is like porn music and Kate breathing heavy into a microphone. Austin tries to do a dirty voice, which made it become an innie. And then after that, I went to the bathroom and came back, and then the show was on. That's my morning. How are we looking? More of the Bill Michaels Show coming up here in just a little bit. Don't go anywhere. We got to have something better in the next segment. Seriously.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
And now for the Pella play-by-play, here's Jeff Levering.
Thanks, Gina Della from Pella. What a beautiful day to have new windows and doors installed.
Every day is beautiful because Pella installs year-round during all seasons.
And as Pella goes into another windup, it's so hard to guess that next pitch. The customizations seem endless.
And it doesn't have to be super expensive. Pella has a product line for every budget.
And if it is time for a major upgrade, rest easy by scoring no interest and no payments for up to 2 years.
Pella also provides a free in-home consultation, which includes a no-obligation quote.
That's always a great play because working with one of Pella's design experts is such a wonderful, no-pressure get-together. I know this from experience.
With a range of affordable options and products assembled in the USA, you can get the look you want at a price you can afford.
And there's no reason to wait with this incredible deal going on.
Get no interest and no payment for up to 2 years.
Visit PellaWI.com today.
Certain restrictions apply. 6/30/2025.
Bill Michaels here. Your two wheels revved up because here it comes. The Big River Rally where the river meets the road. It rolls into La Crosse on June 27th and 28th. Join us for a weekend packed with action. Stunt shows, a killer bike show, food trucks, all kinds of awesome vendors. Friday, Rod's River Run with Texas Hippie Coalition lighting up the stage that night. Then Saturday is the Big River Rally Ride. Miles and miles of pure freedom. Then Saturday night, Drowning Pool rocks the house. Grab your tickets right now. BigRiverRally.com. That's BigRiverRally.com. And I'll see you there.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Always a crazy one, broke into the stadium and I wrote your number on the 50-yard line. You were always the perfect one and a valedictorian. So
welcome back, Bill Michaels Show.
For a good time. I
love the fact that people that get big in life, they never forget where they came from, and which is really cool. So I was just talking about Mike Wengren. He is the drummer from the band Disturbed, and I saw they were on this big giant world tour or whatever it was not that long ago. And then when the announcement was made that they're going to play at Full Throttle, I'm like, holy mackerel! It's great to see you out there. I'll see you guys out there. So I just thought, you know what, we'd love to have him on the program. So I texted him, and he got back to me. He said, hey, let's set it up. Let's set it up to get on the program. And I said, okay, we'll see you. And he says, no, like next week we'll start promoting it. So we're going to get Mike Wangren, the drummer from Disturbed, is going to join us.
Hell yeah.
At some point next week. He says, do you play our music as a bumper yet? And I'm like, no. And you know what? We should have Down with the Sickness at least as one of our bumpers. And, then you got to start it from the, whatever. I can't do that voice the way they do it. But anyway, so I thought that was pretty cool. He was just texting. So
I thought you nailed it personally.
No, I didn't nail it. I'd have to hear it and then do it. I'd have to hear it and then imitate it.
So you can be in pitch, proper pitch.
Yeah,
sure.
so I can at least become closer to it. You ever been to a Disturbed concert?
I have not been to a Disturbed concert.
First time I ever really experienced, and I shouldn't say experienced in the sense that I was in it, but I was near it. First time I ever experienced the mosh pit, like a full-blown, in the middle of a mosh pit, thrashing, people just jumping on each other, bumping around, oh yeah. So first time I ever experienced that was at a Disturbed concert.
You whip your head around?
I don't do that only for the fact that I got a bad neck, but I do like Disturbed music. The Sound of Silence version that they do is spectacular. Spectacular. And the fact that I don't know if it was Mike or the lead singer's daughter, somebody, when they were here in Milwaukee, they brought one of the kids out to play the drums, and then she played a violin during the Sound of Silence song. And it was, it like gave you goosebumps to watch it and to hear it. And it was one of the most powerful moments at a concert I think I'd ever seen. And it was so good. So good. So I'm really excited. I don't know who they're going to announce on Wednesday. People that are asking me, I don't know. I talked to Jesse for about 5 minutes yesterday. That guy, I don't know how if you follow him on social media, I have never seen anybody do so much social media and work as much as he does. Because he's a brilliant, brilliant guy. If you've never met him or know him, you would just figure he's just this long-haired, Southern rock, hippie rock star. And the man is brilliant. He's a brilliant, well-read man. And I respect the hell out of him for business-wise what he does. But he at one point will call me, say what he has to say, get off to the next thing. And then next thing you know, I'll have an email confirming what we talked about. I will have arrangements that are set up. He's got people for people, but it's amazing. And then I'll get up in the morning and I'll be like, okay, who's on my reels today or whatever. And I'll look, and he's up at 4 a.m. in his studio. And he said, hey, I just wrote this portion of this particular song. And, I'm trying to put things together, hey, thanks. It's just, and then, that afternoon he's on a jet. He's flying to Milwaukee to meet with Harley, or he's flying out to someplace in Georgia to go meet with a Harley dealer or somebody else and a rock star. And then he was with Danny Coker out in Vegas. And I'm like, couldn't even begin to, imagine how many miles that guy travels. And then I know personally, his brother has been battling, a disease. And then his nephew had a bicycle accident, and he needs 24/7 care now. And the family's taking care of him. And then he's got people on his property. I'm just like, I don't know how. And sometimes when I think to myself, I don't really want to do anything until the bottom of the inning, but I have to walk about 12 feet to go to the bathroom. I'll hold it, and that's kind of me. So I don't, when people are like that, I'm like, I respect the hell out of that for all the hard work that they put in. So anyway, I was like that when I was a kid, I guess. I worked hard, but now I'm a mess. I'm a mess. I get up and my ass hurts.
What do you mean? This show doesn't put itself on.
Well, yeah, but you do the work. I get up and I literally hobble out of bed. I pray to God that if you're on the toilet, you can at least stand up afterwards, and I don't have to take 4 leave just to be able to get it to calm down. Like the muscle in my butt was hurting the other day. I'm like, how did that happen? What did I do? What do you do in the middle of the night that you wake up and you're like, I pulled a muscle in my ass? How does that happen? So just throwing it out there.
Maybe your muscles everywhere else are too strong. I think that's probably what it is.
Oh God. Who is the band that says Steal My Sunshine? Because That's what you do, Grant. You take all the sunshine. You've got all the sunshine with you, man, because I don't have any.
Well, I'm just saying the rest of you need to properly go to see the specialist in Madison. Go see the people that Christian Watson and Edgerrin Cooper went to see.
Yeah, maybe I do. Just show up, Madison. I need that doctor.
I pulled my ass.
What's the problem? Well, my ass hurts. Okay. From what? No idea. I was sleeping. Woke up. Just all right. She'll give me the same reaction that the woman did when I got hit by lightning. When I said I was hit by lightning, she went, "Really?" It's like I'm lying, Go home. Leave us alone, Bill. Get out of here. Oh my God. Len, yes. Randy, yes. Len is the band. Steal My Sunshine. Yes. That's freaking awesome.
I think Ebo was playing that yesterday or the day before at the end of the show. It's funny that came up again.
Ebo's got a vast repertoire of music too. So we'll have to expand ours a little bit. All right, let's do this. We'll get back. We'll put the whole train back on the track at some point, I promise you. And it'll actually be worth listening to rather than this garbage. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends over there at Stenny's, Second and National Walker's Point. That is in downtown. If you are going to Summerfest, stop at Stenny's. Let them do the driving. They'll drop you off right there at the front gates and then pick you back up the same place. That is Stenny's, Second and National Walker's Point. They're running some shuttles from out there in Lake Country as well on Watertown Road in Pewaukee. But the best part about it, you go in, you get the Bloody Mary, you get kind of your pregame on, you head down to Summerfest, enjoy some of the music, then you head back, let them do the driving, you're good to go. That's our friends at Stenny. Stenny, Second and National Walker's Point, Watertown Road in Pewaukee. You should be here.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
At Potawatomi, where ways to win are endless, another chance to capture epic cash and prizes comes Friday, June 27th. It's the season finale blockbuster drawings. Watch your entries from Enchanted Spins, Unreal Treasures, and Boundless Bounty come together for drawings where $300,000 in cash and prizes is there for the taking. Be there to win your share. June 27th only at Potawatomi Casino Hotel, Milwaukee. More info online. Must be 21 years old to play.
A world famous Michael Ballard's Full Throttle Saloon presents the 85th Sturgis Motorcycle Rally beginning August 3rd. The legend, Hank Williams Jr. on August 4th, Tesla. Non-stop entertainment. On August 5th, it gets louder and harder with Disturbed. Full Throttle, where the legends play and the rally never sleeps. And on August 7th, the 25th Annual Bikers Ball with Jackal. Hold on. Someone's going to win a brand new Harley-Davidson motorcycle. See it all live at the Full Throttle Saloon. Book your stay or get tickets for the shows at fullthrottlesaloon.com. Hurry, tickets are on sale right now. The 85th Sturgis Motorcycle Rally at the world-famous Michael Ballard's Full Throttle Saloon.
Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
I was just talking about Mike Wangren. He is the drummer from the band Disturbed. And I saw they were on this big, giant, world tour, whatever it was, not that long ago. And then when the announcement was made that they're going to play at Full Throttle, I'm like, holy mackerel, it's great to see you out there. I'll see you guys out there. So I just thought, you know what, we'd love to have him on the program. So I texted him. And he got back to me and he said, hey, let's set it up. So we're going to get Mike Wangren, the drummer from Disturbed, is going to join us.
Hell yeah.
At some point next week. He says, do you play our music as a bumper yet? And I'm like, no. And you know what? We should have Down with the Sickness at least. And, then you got to start it from the, whatever. I can't do that voice the way they do it. But anyway. Dynamite dropping. Grant Bills produces the program. Yeah, that's it. I can do it like when I'm not on mic. I was around the house doing it, but I can't do it when I'm on mic. I don't know why. Just all of a sudden it doesn't come out. I don't know why.
Was anyone home with you this morning when you were doing all these things that you've now told us about?
No, nobody's around. Okay. No. Even at one point yesterday, I was just goofy. I was out in the rain. I'm trying, like I said, I'm just trying to get stuff done. I have let things go. The whole month of June, I was basically gone up until this point. And the end of April or May. And I haven't done anything. I'm trying to do all my spring cleaning. Everybody knows this. If you own a house, own property, even if you've got a rental property, you do things gradually. Like one day you're going to hose off your patio set. The next day you clean off whatever outside area you have, whether it's pressure washing the sidewalk or doing windows or trimming trees or edging or whatever. You normally you do it over a period of time. That's the way I usually do it. You don't do it all in a week. And I'm trying to do everything in a week. And you've been to my house. I mean, it's just the bushes alone in the front. There's like 35 bushes to trim, and then you got to clean it all up. And it's just, so anyway, I was trying to do it. And I was out in the rain yesterday because I got to take the trailer over to the rental place to pick up tables and chairs for the get together here this weekend. And first I pull the truck out and it's pouring down rain. Then I slip the trailer hitch in and I go to put it on. And I'm like, you know what? I should probably take the truck up and fill it up with gas. So I'm taking it up, and then I'm like, the trailer's bouncing around. And here I put on the I put on the 2-inch ball instead of the 2 5/16, and so it's bouncing around. I got the wrong one on, and I'm MFing this, and I'm out there screaming. And finally, my neighbor looks out the window. And she says, "Are you okay?" Like, no, shut your window. Tell your kids to cover their ears. Right? Exactly. That was my response. I'm not even doing the Potawatomi commercial. I don't even care. Just go to Potawatomi. It's fantastic. Go to Potawatomi. I got nothing,
We have another day tomorrow where we got to do another we got to do this again tomorrow.
I know. Well, tomorrow you're here in studio. And
yeah,
tomorrow,
that'll help productivity. That's what we need. Yeah.
Tomorrow at 2:00. Who's producing the show in Madison for us?
Austin.
Austin is okay. Okay. Let me take a minute to do a PSA here.
Oh no.
Okay. If you heard the segment this morning and you were listening locally in Madison, La Crosse, Eau Claire, and Ebo's show over the line, and I turned it on when they were doing the live read stuff for the Gentlemen's Club that Kate is the voice for.
Do you remember what time this was at?
Probably a little after 9.
Okay.
Because I didn't turn it on until almost 9. So a little after 9. So I turn it on because usually I set everything up and I get everything going and I make sure I check in with the station and everything's working. I do it every day. I got a routine. And I hear this, something about sizzling meat and this and that. And it's Kate doing the Kate Fox voice, right? And then Austin did it. Austin's trying to be, Mr. Sexy Talker. I sent it to Ebo this morning, and we'll have to talk to Austin about this. Don't ever do this again. I sent it to Ebo, and I literally said, look, Austin, I said he needs to stop. It sounded like a caller to your house at 1 a.m. when they start talking dirty to your wife. And just as they get into it, you hear his mom yell downstairs, "Austin, I told you to go to bed. Now lights out and hang out with your little friends." That was the type of voice it was. It was like, stop it. But he's all geeked up. And he did have a good line on Ebo this morning. He said, "I can't hear you. I'm 7 games up in the standings," because he's a Cubs fan. And he that was good. I appreciated that because that did make me laugh. It pissed me off, but it made me laugh. So Austin got a good one in. So give him a little credit. But yeah, that's right. That was how my morning started. We're still on this. A lot going on. The Brewers back at it today. Taking on the Cubs, and they need this one. I know people said I'm crazy, but it's no, you need to get a win in Chicago. You need at least split, get out of here, move on. You got to get this one. It's going to be warm. It's going to be sunny, hot, humid today down at Wrigley. The wind is blowing from the southwest, so the wind is blowing out. You got to get one today. You got to get one. So that's going on. We'll talk our guys from Pro Football Focus coming up here a little bit later on in the program. We got to talk a little bit about, and by the way, Vinny Rottino is going to join us today too, but Dalton Wasserman's going to be here. We got to talk a little bit about how much better really are the Packers. I mean, if you put them on paper and you line them up next to other teams, not just in the NFC North, but just say the NFC, how much better are they really? I mean, because we look at it through the green and gold glasses and our expectations get a little bit higher and we can talk ourselves into things, and I do it. I'm as guilty as a fan as anybody. But we'll talk with Dalton Wasserman coming up a little bit later on in the program. And we'll talk with him about that. So just to kind of get a good, realistic outside helicopter view of what the Green Bay Packers are and the rest of the NFC. So we'll get into that today. And like I said, Vinny Rottino coming up in a little bit less than an hour from now. We'll talk with him about the rain out, about the fact that the Brewers are going to have to play 5-game series against the Cubs and 18 games in 17 days. And I'm sure it was an eye roll when Pat Murphy saw that as that game got postponed yesterday. So we'll get into that discussion as well. And then, ultimately, at what point, if not already, are the Brewers looking for another bat? And I think that is a realistic conversation to have as well. So plus, as I had promised you, we'll get into some of the other topics of stuff that, I get text messages and people say, "Hey, what do you think of this? And what do you think of that?" And the majority of the stuff that I've gotten in the last 24 hours is a lot of stuff that I just don't give two damns about. So I thought, let's just do a topic of things we don't give two damns about, we'll get into that discussion coming up a little bit later on in the program as well. You got the NBA back at it tonight, and I got to admit, I don't do it very often, but I did throw down a little bit of a wager that I believe tonight is the night that OKC ends this thing. Now, as soon as I say that, it's probably going to end up going 7 games, but Halliburton's going to try to play. I know they keep saying he's a game time decision, but after listening to him yesterday and the fact that he was at practice and getting therapy, my thought is he's going to do everything he can to play in this one. And here's the other thing. How great of a season has it been for SGA, considering he is going to win the scoring title, the MVP, and likely to win the MVP of the finals once they close it out, if that indeed happens. There's not many players in NBA history that have done that, where they've kind of gotten that trifecta. So what kind of a season has it been for him as well? So we can get into that also. But I think tonight, this is it. I think 7:30 Central, it gets underway, and OKC finally puts the unless Siakam has just some kind of an incredibly banner game, I think tonight's it. And I think OKC ends it for the Indiana Pacers at Gainbridge Fieldhouse. So I think that's going to happen as well. So there you go. That's kind of back to a sports vernacular rundown there is. Now, Craig says OKC deserves to lose if they blow it tonight. That I would agree with, especially if Halliburton's ailing. Now, if Halliburton comes back tonight and plays really well, I mean, way better than expected, then I'll be surprised. But I know they always say, look, if you can play, you can play. You got to go. But if I'm Rick Carlisle, I don't think I play Halliburton unless I positively need a spark. If you're going toe-to-toe with OKC and you need a spark, then you bring in Halliburton to see what he's got. But every minute he doesn't have to play is another minute of healing for him. And if you can if by some weird circumstance you can get through tonight and win without Halliburton and then get a few more days to have him rest that calf, I'd do that in a heartbeat. That way you've got him good for Game 7 on the road. I know some people down in Indianapolis might not agree with me. It would be like sitting Giannis. Either you can play or you can't. And I've said that before, but every minute that he doesn't have to play, I think would be a huge minute for him just to rest and not have to work. Because we've seen what calf muscles can do. You know, we've seen it in the past. We saw with Giannis. We've seen a calf injury with Aaron Rodgers. We've seen what, postseason calf muscle injuries can do. And I just, every minute he can rest, I would have him rest. That would just be my philosophy going into the game tonight. But we'll wait and see. So anyway, let's do this. We'll step out. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back. Stay tuned. Got a whole lot more of the Bill Michaels Show. This portion of it brought to you by our friends at ABC Audio Video. Chris and the gang waiting for your phone call. I shouldn't say that. They're probably out being pretty busy, to be perfectly honest with you. But if you've got, say, a home theater that you'd like to really kind of amp up in your home, great. If you've got something in your office where you want to do a great conference room, a couple of different screens for different calls and different presentations and such, or maybe you want to do Zoom calls, they can set you up there. How about maybe you own a pub, you own a bar, you own a club, whatever it happens to be. You want to put up TVs and sound and switchers and everything, they can do that too. That's our friends over there at ABC Audio Video. No job too big or too small for that matter. Call them 262-483-6656 anywhere in the state of Wisconsin. 262-483-6656, 262-483-6656. That is abcaudiovideo.com. ABC Audio Video, home entertainment and corporate. Simply done right. Ready?
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
And now for the Pella play-by-play, here's Jeff Levering.
Thanks, Gina Della from Pella. What a beautiful day to have new windows and doors installed.
Every day is beautiful because Pella installs year-round during all seasons.
And as Pella goes into another windup, it's so hard to guess that next pitch. The customizations seem endless.
And it doesn't have to be super expensive. Pella has a product line for every budget.
And if it is time for a major upgrade, rest easy by scoring no interest and no payments for up to 2 years.
Pella also provides provides a free in-home consultation, which includes a no-obligation quote.
That's always a great play because working with one of Pella's design experts is such a wonderful, no-pressure get-together. I know this from experience.
With a range of affordable options and products assembled in the USA, you can get the look you want at a price you can afford.
And there's no reason to wait with this incredible deal going on.
Get no interest and no payment for up to 2 years.
Visit PellaWI.com today.
Certain restrictions apply in 6/30/2025.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes.
A world-famous Michael Ballard's Full Throttle Saloon presents the 85th Sturgis Motorcycle Rally, beginning August 3rd. The legend, Hank Williams Jr. On August 4th, Tesla. Non-stop entertainment. On August 5th, it gets louder and harder with Disturbed. Full Throttle, where the legends play and the rally never sleeps. And on August 7th, the 25th annual Bikers Ball with Jackal. Hold on. Someone's going to win a brand new Harley Davidson motorcycle. See it all live at the Full Throttle Saloon. Book your stay or get tickets for the shows at FullThrottleSaloon.com. Hurry, tickets are on sale right now. The 85th Sturgis Motorcycle Rally at the world-famous Michael Ballard's Full Throttle Saloon.
Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Very excited for someone to hit a home run today at Wrigley Field.
How do you think
Matt,
today's
I was,
little
at, I
pitch
was
today?
at the game on Tuesday, Matt, and I was looking for
Is this your sexy voice?
I was looking for Andrew Vaughn. I'm whispering, guys. He just stood up out of a chair.
That was Austin's sexy voice. Yeah.
Sounds like Cartman. I was
Yeah.
at the game on Tuesday night.
Yeah, you recommend hit a home run. Yeah.
I respect the try, though.
Oh, and then you back it up with Sexual Healing by Marvin Gaye. That's fantastic.
You can hear him say, guys, I'm whispering. I'm trying. It was a good effort.
Trying.
You'll have to put him on the spot about this tomorrow.
Waiting at that moment in time.
Austin, get off the phone! Quit talking to your little friends.
Just Oh my God, that was fantastic. German Fest is coming to the Milwaukee Lakefront. You got Summerfest going on now, the German Fest, July 25th, 26th, and 27th. For all the tickets, all the information, all the entrance stuff that they have going on, go to GermanFest.com. GERMAN, GermanFest.com. That is GermanFest.com. Oh my God. Rick says, let's talk about ladies field hockey. Let's not. That's
what the WNBA has turned into this week. They're beating the pulp out of each other.
Oh God, that's hilarious. Yeah. Here's the thing. I don't want to get too deep into this, but I'll start it off. Today has been, Bill, what do you think of everything going on in the NBA? Bill, what do you think of the petition going around that gets Paige Spiranac as a sideline reporter for the PGA? Bill, what do you think about LeBron James talking about rings? Bill, what do you think about Rory McIlroy being upset? Bill, what do you think about the Panthers damaging the Stanley Cup? And Bill, what do you think about Travis Kelce talking about rings and not talking about a wedding ring from Taylor Swift? All of those topics right there, all of them. Yeah, exactly. And you take it to the bathroom and you just flush it. I don't care. I don't care. I think I think the WNBA is imploding because they cannot stand, for whatever reason, that Caitlin Clark is the face of the league. I don't get it. I don't understand the blatant ism about it, but it is what it is. Paige Spiranac, she doesn't need the PGA. She's got, 450 million followers or something like that, because every now and then she'll give you insightful stuff and everybody, wants to look at her boobs.
And a custom Brewers bobblehead, lest we forget.
And a custom Brewers bobblehead. And speaking of boobs, then there's LeBron James and his comments, and he's just trying to make a case for his self-serving self about how he can maybe get into the argument of being the GOAT when we know Michael Jordan is. Rory McIlroy being upset about the course we already talked about from the U.S. Open and all the other garbage going along with Rory. Rory didn't mind stepping up to a microphone when he won the Masters and accepting the adulation, but instead he wants to be a cryy, whiny little biatch and run off and complain. So get out of here. The Panthers damaging the cup. It's happened before. This has been there, done that. They fixed it before. This is not the first time. It's certainly not going to be the last time. You've seen everybody do everything from have sex in that cup to babies in that cup. So it doesn't matter. It's come full circle. And Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift getting married, I don't care. Hour number 2 coming up next.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, due to weather, rain showers in the forecast, the Brewers-Cubs game in Chicago yesterday was postponed. That means their game will be made up on August 18th. It will be a split doubleheader at Wrigley, turning a 4-game series into a 5-game set. And that will be in the midst of a long stretch for Milwaukee with playing 18 games in 17 days. But looking at today, the pitching matchup will be Freddie Peralta taking the mound. Originally was slated to be Jacob Mizorowski, but now the righty who carries a 6-4 record with a 2.6 ERA will be there, opposite of Jamison Taillon. Now the Brewers currently sit second in the NL Central with a record of 39-35. The Cubs in first place at 45-28. First pitch will be today from Wrigley at 1:20.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
They believe in protecting the families and children in our farming communities. Kids love to be included in the daily farm activities, but accidents can happen quickly. Reduce the chance of injury by making sure your farm is a safe environment for adults and kids. Learn more at ruralmutual.com.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
With quarterback Jair Alexander's time in Green Bay coming to an end, his time in Baltimore now begins. The veteran quarterback signed a 1-year contract with the Ravens worth up to $6 million. Also coming to an end will be Packers president and CEO Mark Murphy's time, as he will step down July 25th. Replacing him will be Ed Policy. Policy was asked what it will be like replacing Mark Murphy, who was at the helm for almost 18 years.
There is no replacing a Mark Murphy, just like there was no replacing Bob Harlan before that. It's kind of a consistent evolution, I would say, throughout the Packers.
Up next for the Packers, training camp begins on July 23rd. For the Wisconsin Sports Zone Network, I'm Ebo.
Welcome in. Bill Michaels Show. Hour number 2. I promise hour number 2 is going to be better than hour number 1. I'll say that right now. I promise that. Hour number 1 was just kind of like when you wake up, and you really know you got to get your day going, but you just lay there and you're fiddling on your phone, you're flipping through television channels, you're trying to still get comfortable, you're thinking that maybe you could sleep for about 7 minutes and really get that deep sleep in to where you'd feel really good and refreshed to even really want to get out of bed, or maybe you're thinking, I don't want to, but it's so comfortable, but you want to stay, but then you realize you have to go to the bathroom, so you got to get up anyway, and you stumble around. That was the beginning of the show. It was awful. It really, look, for all the times that we have been told we should be winning awards, that was not a winning of the award moment. Just so you know.
People tell you we should win awards?
Every now and then. I was broached in the last couple of weeks about some things, and I said I appreciate the recognition, but you and I haven't entered for awards. We were asked about that, why aren't you guys winning awards? And I'm like, well, because we don't enter. Really? I said, no.
It's not why we're in this business.
Yeah,
not for recognition.
It's great when your peers look at you and go, hey, you're doing really good work. Don't get me wrong, and you get recognized for that. But for the most part, I show up because I have fun doing it. So I don't know. Maybe we'll enter. Who knows? So I two things. Here's another thing. Jeremy Burnitz brings it up, that Aaron Rodgers' family was not sure or surprised even about the marriage, and if the marriage actually happened, apparently, according to the New York Post. And I saw an article in the Journal Sentinel about Jordan Rodgers, who found out about Aaron saying he was married through social media and all of that. That's another one. I don't care. We don't even know who Aaron Rodgers' wife is. Apparently it's somebody named Brittany, right?
Alleged wife, yeah.
So I don't know. Don't matter.
People have dug through marriage records in all 50 states and nobody can find anything. People have dug it. Aaron Rodgers is of great interest, so people have dug into this.
He probably got married in a mud hut somewhere, in some South American country or something.
He's not one that strikes me as someone who gets married in the Universal Life Church. He's got to find some other more meaningful ceremony.
They got married sweating out whatever.
It was a soul marriage. It wasn't a legal marriage, Bill.
Right. Well, that's probably, that would not surprise me. A soul marriage, so just in case the marriage goes south, it doesn't cost him money. Because remember how emphatic he was that he actually bought the house in Malibu. Not him and Danica Patrick.
I remember that.
Even though Danica said, yeah, we bought that house. Danica was pretty open about on the Sage Steele podcast about all that kind of stuff with Aaron Rodgers, that he was not the kindest of people. And
same with Shailene Woodley.
Yeah.
And I think Olivia Munn's done the same, but she's been one of my ex-boyfriends.
Yeah, but Olivia Munn she's probably the same, because there's not been a whole lot positive said about Olivia Munn. The other two, I really don't know. I know Danica a little bit just from interviewing her over years and seeing her at Road America and stuff, but beyond that, it's not like I've ever sat down and had dinner with her or anything. I do want to get, we go down these rabbit holes. CBS Sports ranked the quarterbacks for this year's quarterback class in the NFL. And I got to admit, right away, I went, wait a minute. I don't agree with this. So you tell me, ranking quarterbacks in the 2025, 2026 class in the NFL this season. And it goes by this. Tier 1, what they call transcendent talents. Transcendent talents. Number 1, say it with me, Patrick Mahomes. So I agree with that.
Start.
Okay. Patrick Mahomes. Number 2, in the transcendent talents, Josh Allen. Can't argue with that. Eventually, I mean, and this goes back to a guy that's going to have a Hall of Fame career, and so far he has not won even an AFC championship game. He's run into Patrick Mahomes, much like for years Peyton Manning ran into Tom Brady. So Josh Allen, I don't think we can argue too much with that. The next one, Lamar Jackson, again, has not won an AFC championship game, but he's won numerous MVPs, and he has played spectacularly at times. You can't deny his athleticism and the way he manages that team. He's not Patrick Mahomes in arm talent. He's not Josh Allen in arm talent. He's not Joe Burrow in arm talent, but he's an unbelievably good quarterback. The next one is the guy that I just mentioned, and that's Joe Burrow. Some rocky stretches with Cincinnati. Missed some time because of injury, obviously. But that guy can sling it. I don't care who you are. And he has taken Cincinnati to a Super Bowl. Didn't win it, but he has taken them there. So that's 4 guys out of 6 in this level. The next 2, disagree with. The next one, Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts. Now, a couple of years ago, was a terrible season coming off of a Super Bowl run. He was petulant, whiny, didn't lead his team, didn't play well. Last year, had a really good season, but I think we could all look at last year and go, what had the bigger impact? Jalen Hurts or Saquon Barkley or Vic Fangio? I might have to put Vic Fangio and Saquon Barkley specifically, ahead of Jalen Hurts. So I don't know if I would consider him transcendent. I might go with the next level.
I think Jalen Hurts deserves a lot of respect for how he's performed in 2 Super Bowls. But when you consider, like, who's Josh Allen's number 1 receiver? Who's his best target?
Yes. He had Stephon Diggs for a little while, but
he did for a bit, and then they got rid of him and they got better. And then compare that to, who Jalen Hurts is. Both great players. Jalen Hurts has some extra toys to play with, I think.
Right. He's got, as they put it, freakish composure. But I don't know if I'd go with Jalen Hurts. The next one is based on optimism in his first year. They already have Jaden Daniels as a transcendent talent. Now, he played fantastic his first year, and so did Joe Burrow. So did Aaron Rodgers for the most part. Aaron Rodgers' numbers weren't great, but, he wasn't necessarily on a good team either at that point.
So did C.J. Stroud 2 years ago. C.J. Stroud would have been at the top of these lists last year, and then as a sophomore.
Had he played last year the same way he played his freshman year, he would have been fantastic. He'd been on this list for sure. So they got Jaden Daniels there. I don't necessarily agree with the last 2. So, but then they say the borderline stars, the borderline transcendent talents. Matthew Stafford. Okay. But Matthew Stafford's played extremely well. Go back to the year that they won a Super Bowl, and he played fantastic. But you also know that to win a Super Bowl, you got to have somebody across from you, and Von Miller was the man. When they made the trade for Von Miller, that put it all together, and everything came together between Von Miller and God, who's the other one defensively?
Aaron Donald.
Aaron Donald. Thank you very much. They had big Andrew Whitworth as their tackle. I mean, before he retired, they had some veteran leadership on that team. But Matthew Stafford, okay. Jared Goff. And what's funny is they talk about, well, Jared Goff has played extremely well, but he didn't get the Lions to a Super Bowl. And I'm thinking to myself, they just ran out of gas. How many more injury? I mean, one more injury to even a beer vendor, and they couldn't have gotten past anybody. They were just losing guys left and right. They were dropping like flies. And they still had an incredible season and played well in the postseason. But nevertheless, on the doorstep. This one I don't agree with. Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy has not, and I'm the one that gives Brock Purdy credit. But if you're going to knock him and say he's not that good of a quarterback, I don't know if you can put him as a knocking on the door of a transcendent talent. Maybe it's a good spot for him. I don't know. But Brock Purdy, the physical fragility of the San Francisco 49ers finally got to him in year 3 when he struggles and he was playing from behind. He has not really been able to bring them. They're front runners. So when they get behind, he's not the guy to be able to lead them back. Or he's not going to be 2-minute drill guy. It hasn't happened for him yet. But better than Garoppolo, better than Trey Lance, because he was able to take over that team when they couldn't do it and actually make something out of them. So Brock Purdy knocking on the doorstep. The next one, Jordan Love. Jordan Love. They say, quote, can he protect the ball and himself? Those are the only real questions with Jordan Love, who possesses one of the NFL's most impressive arms. Bumps and bruises to both him and his receivers helped halt the Green Bay Packers in 2024. But if Love can properly manage his inner Brett Favre, which I hate that description, he's nowhere near Brett Favre. He's got the tools and the system to win big. But he is knocking on the doorstep of transcendent talent. Justin Herbert, I don't agree with this, knocking on the doorstep, because he's just curious. I mean, every year you keep waiting for him to take the next step. He's in his 6th season. He's not some young rookie anymore. 6 seasons in. Now, he hasn't necessarily had the best situation, and last year was probably the first time that he had a real organizational head coach since he came into the league. But 0-2 in playoffs, hasn't won a postseason game yet. Dak Prescott, please. Knocking on the doorstep of transcendent. The guy can't win playoff games. And it's not because the team's bad, the defense is bad, the running backs are bad. It's because he throws picks. Okay? He's a gargler. He's a choker. Until he gets over that hump, he's not knocking on the door to transcendent talent. He's knocking on the door to the next level. I don't agree with that. After that, Baker Mayfield. Now, he's ascended. Since his days in the If It's Brown, Flush It Down organization, the comeback story for him has been pretty impressive. He still, throws it away at times, but they got him knocking on the doorstep. Then the guy that you had mentioned, and that is C.J. Stroud. And what he did in year 1 versus what he did in year 2. And year 2 wasn't terrible. I was listening to the Pro Football Talk podcast with Florio and Sims broke down C.J. Stroud, and he went through C.J. Stroud stuff, and he said, look, his statistics weren't the same, but he had his receivers had all gone down with injury. His offensive line was banged up. His defense was bad. They had started having problems. And he said, if you look at what he was trying to do, he's trying to do too much because he wanted to go back to being the guy that was being praised for what he was in year 1. And said he just, his ability to thread the needle on all levels means he's ready to be that guy. It's just he didn't have a lot of guys to thread the needle to. So I don't want to necessarily downplay C.J. Stroud's season last year, but I want to see what he does this year in a bounce back year. I would probably go with Baker Mayfield and Dak Prescott in that next level below, which is called the promising prospects. Bo Nix had a hell of a season last year. I'll give it up for Bo Nix. Bo Nix did more than I thought he would. So he was impressive. Then there's Caleb Williams. Promising prospect. We'll wait and see. J.J. McCarthy, who hasn't taken a snap in the NFL, is in that list. Drake May is in that list. I might even go as far as to say number 4, tier 4 is the, quote, volatile veterans. That's where I might put guys like Dak Prescott and Baker Mayfield, because they got to get over that hump and get rid of that tag of, promising, but not to that next level. So they say volatile veterans, the next level. It starts off with the 41-year-old Aaron Rodgers. They say his luster may have dampened with the New York Jets, but pairing his 2 decades of experience with Mike Tomlin, they say it promises to be good television. So we'll see. I would have put Dak Prescott here. I would have put Baker Mayfield here. They also have Geno Smith here. They say there's little doubt he's an upgrade in Vegas, giving them an actual, what they call a gutsy gunslinger, which I think is a terrible term for him. But he struggled and with turnovers and bumps and bruises last year. And then there's now they've got him in the volatile veterans level. I would call it the still waiting on prophecy, bottom of the barrel. And that is Trevor Lawrence, who didn't do anything last year. Tua, who didn't do anything last year. Kyler Murray. Can you believe it's year 7 for Kyler Murray? And we're still waiting to see if he's actually going to put a whole season together. I would have put Sam Darnold ahead of all these guys, but they got Sam Darnold there. And then you've got some of the young guys like Cam Ward and others coming in like Justin Fields and Russell Wilson and Bryce Young and Michael Penix Jr., and you just don't know what they are. And Anthony Richardson, who's a kind of a mental train wreck, and going from there. But I don't necessarily agree with everybody on this list in the ranking system they put them. Because I think, like I said, Dak Prescott, he's been around long enough. Dak Prescott's in his 10th season, has not won but one playoff game. Come on, man. Come on, man.
That's the weird thing about Dak is when he's healthy for a whole season, which is rare. Like, he's injury prone. He's been hurt a lot.
Yeah.
When he's healthy in the regular season, he wins. 10, 11, 12 wins, and they're in the playoffs. He's just about as consistent as any other quarterback is as a regular season guy when he's healthy. Then he gets the playoffs and they don't know what to do.
Yeah.
So that there's a lot of like, how do you rank or how do you group a quarterback like that? You know what I mean? Because I think there are plenty of quarterbacks ranked higher than Dak Prescott who are a lot less consistent in the regular season. I just trust them to raise their level of play in the postseason a lot more. Like Stafford is probably a good example, or even Hurts. Like Dak statistically has had a longer, more stable, successful regular season career than Jalen Hurts.
Mm-hmm.
But is there really anyone other than maybe Mahomes that you trust more in a playoff game than Jalen Hurts with what he's shown in those 2 Super Bowls? Like, he's been awesome.
Jalen Hurts is when the lights have been the brightest, he's played well. When he was in the Super Bowl a few years back, even though they lost, he played well. This past
easily
year,
could have won that game. They could have won that game.
And he played well this year. Now, granted, they got off to that unbelievable lead, and then the defense just took over, but played well, did what they needed to do. But I think last year's success, I think it's squarely, the spotlight squarely is on Saquon Barkley because of just the elevation he brought when he walked through those doors. Just walking through the doors gave them that distinct advantage. So anyway, that's where they put him. I do like the fact that there is recognition for Jordan Love being in that second tier. And that's kind of cool. As speaking as a Packers fan with that kind of optimism. But they went right there with that question, even though they used the Brett Favre, comparison, and it drives me nuts. But can he protect himself, and can he quit turning the ball over with some bad decisions? Because every now and then the bad decisions raise their ugly head. But I'm right there with you. I think he's got the ability to go. I did not believe as much in Jordan Love, obviously, until we saw him in the second half of his first season under center. But then when I sat down with Greg Cosell and he broke down all that tape and talked, and he said, he didn't know how he was being coached, but what he said he saw and the arm strength he saw in certain situations, he said it's all there. He's just got to put it together. And that's when I really, between that and the second half of that first season, and when I talked to Greg in the postseason, and like I said, he breaks down film as far as I know better than anybody. When he went through that whole dissertation and said, Bill, I'm telling you, this guy's got a top 5 arm and he just needs to put it all together. And we've seen quarterbacks that have had that ability and they've never put it together. So it's solely on them. But that's when I became the believer. And I said, okay, now you got to go out and do it, because now you got to go out and earn it. You can't have potential forever. You have to have that potential realized. You can't have this ceiling to say, man, he's got a glass ceiling. He can break through it. He's got this amazing amount of potential. And then it's never realized, because then you're just nothing more than a coulda, woulda, shoulda. And there's a whole slew of primrose paths paved with coulda, woulda, shoulda. So that's what I'm waiting for. All right, let's do this. We'll step out. We'll take a quick break. If you got some thoughts, shoot it to us. We'd love to hear from you. We've got some text messages to get to, all that kind of good stuff. This portion of the program brought to you by our terrific friends from Marquardt RV. You're going to catch the RV at Road America this weekend. Up there near the carousel. Going to be sitting down there watching the Indy cars race around that portion of the track and then finding us all over, but cannot wait to get to Road America. Marquardt RV also puts their money where their mouth is when it comes to the RV, the big unit cruiser for 2025, a fantastic Thor motor coach, which also has raised a lot of money via charity events and given away some things that we're doing with the motor coach. And we couldn't do it without it with our friends at Marquardt RV. So thanks to them. Marquardt gets a big round of applause for putting their money where their mouth is and their heart into it as well with military members, veterans, their families, and first responders. Thanks to Marquardt RV. If you're looking for a new or a used unit, depending on whatever size it is you want, they've got something for everybody, but more so than anything, they're community-minded, and they really, 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 I say this all the time, they pride themselves on their service, on taking care of you from the sale, from service after the fact, and even if you take it out and you have an issue, you call them, you say, hey, I got an issue here. Well, can you help me out over the phone? Like they did with me, and they figured it out. So our friends at Marquardt RV service before, during, and after the sale. They don't just watch you walk out the door and wave and then close the door behind you. They're always there for you. That's Marquardt RV, MARKQUART, MarquardtRV.com. That is MarquardtRV.com.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back. Bill
do. Dreaming all the time, baby. This portion of the program brought by our friends out there. The three brothers that have the family-owned business, Big Boar, B-O-A-R, Big Boar Barbecue, right there in West Salem, Wisconsin, out there near La Crosse, which I am going to be visiting next week as we head out there for the Big River Rally. Big Boar Barbecue, whether it's going in there for a breakfast, a lunch, a dinner. Don't forget, if you've got a graduate, maybe a party coming up, it's a great way to kind of, let them do the cooking. They have catering as well. They can get it all together for you. Check them out, BigBoarBBQ.com, Big Boar, B-O-A-R, BigBoarBBQ.com. In West Salem, Wisconsin. You can always give them a call, too, 608-612-0387. Ask for Carter. Carter's the man. 608-612-0387. Or if you just want to see everything that they offer, maybe pick out your menu, go to BigBoarBBQ.com. That is BigBoarBBQ.com. Really, really good stuff. And I am going to make it a point to go in, say hi, and hopefully sit down and have some food when I get out there. Can't wait. Looking forward to it. They get some really good sauces, too, that they make there on site. You can take them home with you. They have a sweet and spicy. Oh, it is really, really good. So I'm going to do that. Coming up here, bottom of the hour, Vinny Rio. We went long in the first segment, so coming up here momentarily. Vinny Rattino is going to be joining us. We're going to talk some Brewers baseball. And did the league do the Brewers a disservice after yesterday's game was postponed? And then instead of making it up today, they're going to make it up later in the season, as the Brewers then are going to have to play 17 games in 18 days. And I know some people say, well, there's only so many night games that they're allowed to play at Wrigley. And I understand that. But if you would have played a 110 game today, you're pretty much, if you played them just back to back, put a half hour in between games, both of those games are day games, or at least it's not a twilight doubleheader. I'll tell you that both games should be done by 7:00. You figure games are right now, they're not 3 hours long. And even if it was 1 o'clock to what, 4 o'clock, 4 o'clock to 7 o'clock, it's not even, doesn't get dark till 8:30. You're not kicking lights on all over the place and waking up neighbors late at night. I don't know what constitutes a night game for the Cubs, but they could have done it. They could have done it. They screwed the Brewers, and that's what I'm gonna die on that hill. Gonna do that. They screwed the Brewers. They're doing everything they can. Now it just gives them more incentive to whoop their ass. So a couple of things. Here we go. This is Steve in Richfield. Steve says, hey, it's going to be a get off my lawn kind of day for Bill. Well, you're right. I can agree with that. I'll go with that. Z and the D said, I'm not 100% sure, but I believe if it's got two wheels in the front and one wheel in the back, it's called a Can-Am. Yes, you are true. Now, I don't know if you need a motorcycle license for that, but if it's got one wheel in the front and two wheels in the back, it's a motorcycle, and that's true. That's true. But Can-Ams, I believe you have to have a motorcycle license for as well. Slingshots, they're like car licenses. Yes. Man, Z and the D, you're all over it, bud. Way to be. This is Charlie listening to us in Denver. Hey, Bill, hope this isn't one of those topics you don't care about. Ja's dad came out and said that the Packers' offer didn't include any guaranteed money, and that's why they couldn't come to an agreement. Further, he said that if the Packers had offered what the Ravens offered, he would still be a Packer. First of all, how much do you believe? And second of all, how does the guaranteed money affect the cap versus non-guaranteed money? Well, any salary you offer them is guaranteed. The incentives are not. So it's not like the Packers said, hey, come and play for us. We'll give you $6 to $12 million, but only if you play. So in other words, go through training camp and everything, and because you don't start getting game checks until games. So you mean come through everything? There's no guaranteed money there? I don't believe that. My understanding was that just guaranteed money you get even if you get cut. If you're hurt, if you're still sour, yes, that's true. You're 100% correct. So he's probably off on that. I did not see, again, going under the topic today of things I don't give two damns about. That's Jair Alexander's dad pontificating about contracts. I don't know what the Packers offered. He's saying one thing, but also he has said things before that simply weren't true. We found out after the fact. So I don't know. That's a great question. I don't know. David Serona says, hey, Bill, I think you should take Grant with you to Sturgis. Let him sleep in the motorhome. He could massage the butt cheeks throughout the night so you don't wake up and you're able to ride the motorcycle. Dave, no. No. Ain't happening. First of all, nobody's massaging my butt cheeks. Secondly, we've got another couple that's in the motorhome with us. It is a pretty luxurious motorhome. However, it's kind of cramped when I'm in there. And then you throw Kristen in there, it's getting a little more cramped. And then you've got another couple that you have to live with for 4 or 5 days in there. So that's when you really, really get to know people. So, Grant would be like the little kid, like, hey, here you go. And then I could see him sitting there eating his bowl of Fruit Loops in the dinette area, in the morning, stuff like that.
I'm not massaging butt cheeks.
No.
That's off the table.
No, yeah, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. I agree with you on that one. Just so you know. No.
I'm glad to hear that.
Right. Yeah, no sexual healing going on. All right, let's do this. Let's bring sanity back to the program yet again. When we come back, Vinny Rottino, part of the FanDuel broadcast, is going to join us. And I think the Brewers have gotten hosed. That's just my opinion, but we're going to talk about it when we return. Don't go anywhere. More of the Bill Michaels Show next.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, it was a good game. A lot of great defensive plays, both ends. They hit in the clutch. You know, they did some clutch hitting. Suzuki's homer changed the game. But I'm proud of our guys. We did some good things. We didn't necessarily hit in big situations, but leaving 10 guys on base or 9, whatever it was. But you know, credit to their pitching staff and credit to their defense. Did a great job, and you know, they got a great lineup.
Pretty great. A lot of praise out of the Lou Holtz handbook for how to praise the opponent. We were stymied a little bit with runners in scoring position the other night. Back at it again today. I think they got hosed. We'll talk about it. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at The Nice Ash Cigar Bar, 323 West Main Street, downtown Waukesha. Don't forget, tomorrow night, you have got Friday Night Live is back. So you can walk the streets. They shut them down. They have music. They have all kinds of things happening out on the sidewalks. And then at the end of the evening, when you want to go in and sit in one of the big plush recliners or something to that extent, you can listen to some music, live music at theniceash.com. Theniceash.com, 323 West Main Street, downtown Waukesha, Wisconsin. You can stop in and check it out for yourself. Joining us on the hotline, part of the Brewers broadcast, our good friend Vinny Rottino is joining us. Vinny, how you doing, man?
What's up, Bill? Great. How you doing?
I'm doing good. I think the Brewers got hosed. I get it. Yesterday, couldn't play the game. It was raining like crazy, all that kind of stuff. But, man, I thought they could have got both games in today before 7 o'clock. That wouldn't have been needed to consider a night game. Now you got to play 18 games in 17 days later in the season. That's not an easy task at all, is it?
Not one bit. However, that series against the Cubs in Wrigley is going to be a 5-gamer. And so, you know, if the Brewers remain kind of like middling right here in the NL Central, that could be an opportunity. Now, I know I'm asking maybe for a little bit of a fantasy land situation here of sweeping a 5-game series against the Cubs. But, you know, that will make for some exciting baseball later on. But you're right. It probably should be playing a doubleheader today. Not exactly sure why they're not. Especially if you have Freddie and The Miz going in that doubleheader. Sounds like The Miz is going to be pushed back a day, and Freddie's going to go today.
Yeah, that was another part of it. I don't think they wanted to face both Mizorowski and Freddie Peralta. So, again, you get hosed down there in Chicago. So I agree with you. Look, the best scenario is if you're close, you have your fate in your own hand. You have nobody to blame but yourself if things don't work out. 100% agree. The other night, they couldn't buy a hit, man. And we've seen this before where they do just enough to make it exciting, but just enough to also lose a ball game because they can't get clutch hits. Now, it's not like all season long, every year it's the same thing. But this year, man, they have stacked up so many base hits and so many opportunities only to fall short. I just keep wondering at what point does Matt Arnold say, yeah, we probably need to go out and get a bat. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you know, just with what the expense is and what they're going to have to give up to get a bat that's actually going to make an impact, I can't foresee that happening. They're going to have to figure out a way to get runners in and manufacture runs because you're right, they don't hit enough homers like the Cubs do, right? So the Cubs have 99 home runs on the season. That's 5th in all of baseball. And just to compare that with the Brewers, who are 25th in all of baseball with homers, so 66 home runs.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're going to have to find a way to manufacture those runs. They're doing their best. They're putting pressure on opposing pitching staffs with their ability. Even when they're not scoring runs, they're still stealing bases, right? So they're 3rd in all of baseball they're actually tied with the Cubs with 90 stolen bases on the season. But yeah, I mean, so like guys like Joey Ortiz and Caleb Durbin on the left side of the infield, I know fans are talking about those two guys in particular pretty much all season long. Get some production on the left side because Joey Ortiz has been swinging the bat fairly well as of late. But I mean, we even saw it the other night. He lined out at 108 miles per hour right to the left fielder, Ian Happ. And so he's going to have to get hot. Caleb Durbin's going to have to get hot. But otherwise, what do? You go try and find and leverage the future and try and find a bat on the trade market at the deadline. I'm not sure that they're going to do that because of all the young players that they do have currently on the roster and the ones coming. They're going to build for the future. I think they are going to have a chance to get into that 3rd wild card. I'm not punting on the NL Central, and I know that they aren't either. It's just the Cubs look really, really tough right now, especially because they're not swinging the bats and they're still winning games as of late.
Okay, you bring up a great point, and I'm going to ask you as a player, because I remember a few years back, they traded away Hader, and they were first place at the time. And I had a chance, Brandon Wood, if I saw him out at State Fair, and him and I got to talking, and he said, hey, when they traded him away, it just kind of sent the message that they didn't believe in us that year. And as a player, that has a deflating effect in the clubhouse. At what point, if you're Matt Arnold and you're looking at this clubhouse and you've got pitching, you've got defense, you've got speed, and you just need a bat, at what point do the Brewers say, we got to make a move? We can't just keep sitting here going, well, we're competitive. You know what I mean? Because then all of the controversy at the beginning of the season begins to become real when Mark Antanasio said, we're just here for, family fun and entertainment, because that's not what fans are paying to see, right?
Yeah. Yes. Here's the thing, Bill. I agree with you. I 100% agree with you. I do see both sides of this thing, though. Okay, because I want to see competitive baseball, quite frankly, and I want to see it for years to come. And I know fans want to see it for years to come as well. And the guys that they have coming in their system, the Jesus Mates, the Luis Peñas, we're talking about players that are in the top 100 prospect lists and can make an impact of the Brewers' future. And then you see a Jacob Mizorowski, who all of a sudden the Brewers have him for the rest of this season and then 6 more years after this season. So, I mean, they have a very, very bright future. Now, do you trade and try and thread the needle? Do you do another Josh Hader deal? I would say probably not, especially because Freddie Peralta, that would be the name, right? Freddie Peralta is your ace. If you do that, then you're in jeopardy of losing the clubhouse again, just like with Josh Hader. But I think fans are starting to understand we do want to see that competitive baseball. Now, if they were in first place and 5 or 6 games up on the Cubs, then no, go for it. Let's go ahead and try and add a bat. Try not to leverage the future so much. But I do think that this is a gettable, even as tight as this NL is, there's a ton of really good teams in the NL this season. The AL is a cakewalk, right? I do think you can still sneak into that wild card. And Bill, we've seen it. If you sneak into that wild card, that means you're playing very good baseball at the end of the season in September, that you're going to go ahead and take that momentum and play that sharp baseball that we saw the Mets play last year and make a run at. The year before, we saw the Diamondbacks sneak into that 3rd wild card and make a run for it all the way to the World Series. So I think there's an opportunity here to do that. I cannot see them leveraging the future to do that. However, and just because Murphy's got these guys right where he wants them, and as long as you're playing and pitching well and playing great defense and running the bases, like you said, I think they have a chance to sneak in. And I just cannot see them adding like a major addition while, again, trading away a Jesus Mate, who's going to be a huge factor for this Brewers team in 2 years.
That's the other thing. I agree with you because I think we look at Ortiz, and Ortiz is probably one of the guys that's right now on a audition because they're looking at him going, dude, you got to show us something because Mate is knocking at the door to come up and
Cooper Pratt too.
And Cooper Pratt too to come up and start playing.
Yep.
And if you're not going to do something, then maybe I don't think they're going to bring those guys up this year. But it's going to be real soon. It could be down in your spring training next year. And the next thing you know, you start to see these guys. So I agree with you. It's kind of a stuck between a rock and a hard place because fans want it right now. We live in a fast food world. We want to order it. We want it out the window. We want it fast, fresh, and hot. And we want it now. And every year we keep saying, we're trying to win a World Series. We're trying to get there. We want to put 82 in the past. And they're just falling short. And it's frustrating because you know you're really close to something good and you don't want to waste what you have here and now. Especially, I mean, when you're talking about a guy being in that clubhouse like yourself going, man, I don't know how many years I have left. I got to be able to win now. And that's where some of the tensions begin to draw between fans, players, and such that want to win.
Yes, I do see that tension. And players can feel that. The city feels that. The fan base feels that. But I want to remind everybody, like, the Reds are finally drawing fans. They finally have a guy they can build around in Elly De La Cruz. Like, do you want to trade a Jesus Mate or a Luis Pena or a Cooper Pratt where they could perform like an Elly De La Cruz in 2 years and bring those fans to the seats, and that's the group then that you build around and build that championship. In the meantime, you can go for the wild card this season. And again, I'm not punting on the NL Central. The Brewers, they've done stranger things. They can get super hot. The Cubs could have another injury to their starting rotation or maybe to PCA or something. I'm not wishing that on them by any means, but that could happen, and the Brewers could make a run at that Central. However, you can make a run at that wild card this season, and then in 2 years, you can build around that really strong core that includes the Jacob Mizorowski, Cooper Pratt, Jesus Mate, Luis Pena. I mean, and the Brewers' ability to acquire talent in the draft and in Latin America, it's unmatched. I mean, they're right up there with the Padres in terms of being able to do that. So they're continuing to add those prospects. Now, I'll say this. Okay, so now I'm going to a little bit talk out both sides of my mouth because they made the Christian Yelich trade back in 2017 as well, right, before the 2017 season. So they know which prospects they can punt on, and those guys can be packaged up in a deal to acquire someone. I'm sure those conversations are happening right now, but that talent has to be controllable. They're not going to do that for a rental, a guy that's going to be here for half a season and then sign a big free agent deal. He's got to be controllable. So they will do that as well. And Matt Arnold has surprised us in the past, and David Stearns has surprised us in the past in making a move like that. But it has to be controllable talent, and it's got to be punting on prospects that they don't believe in. So that is a possibility, Bill. I just don't know when that's going to happen. But stay tuned because that's what makes this Brewers team so lovable and so exciting because they can do that. And then in the meantime, if they don't, they're still competitive and they're still going to go for that wild card.
You know, Vinny, it's funny because you sound as stuck in the middle as I am. You know, I understand I understand what's coming up, and I know there's a vision to see all the cream rise to the top at the same time. I get it, and then there's a part of me that goes, I just want to see a winner, so I completely get it. Hey, how big is today's game? Because you certainly don't want to leave Chicago 7.5 down, because then you've really got yourself a hole. Considering you go back to May 18th when they went on that 18-9 run, and they only gained a game, so you can't really afford to fall much further behind. Like you said, this Cubs team's for real.
Yeah, if you don't win today, it's 7.5 back. Then you're really going to be looking uphill at the Chicago Cubs because, as thin as their starting pitching, the Cubs now, as thin as their starting pitching is, with the Justin Steele injury, they're still, performing really well in the bullpen. Their bullpen is the best in baseball in the last 30 days by like a run and a half. It's kind of crazy what kind of run they've been on. And we saw this from Craig Counsell in Milwaukee. He just finds guys off the scrap heap and then gives them confidence, puts them in the right spots. All of a sudden they're pitching exceptionally well. And so I do think you're looking at an uphill battle if you lose today. If you win today, now that's a different story. 5.5 back, the Brewers are still playing very good baseball. And they have some pretty gettable games coming up here. Pittsburgh and Colorado is coming into town here next. So, I do think that they still have a shot at the NL Central. It is an uphill battle. If you lose today, it's a very much steeper climb at 7.5. It seems crazy, it's just one game, but 7.5 is a much steeper climb than 5.5.
Vinny, great stuff today. I know you're on the pre and the post. I know you're in studio, and at least you'll be cool because it's going to be pretty hot and steamy down there in Chicago, and then we will talk again to you real soon, okay?
Yeah, anytime, Bill. Thanks.
Thanks, bud. There you go. Vinny Rattino joining us for a couple of minutes on the hotline, and he's like me. I'm like, I get it. Philosophically, I'm there, man. I get it. I see it. I understand what the vision is. You got me. The other part of me is like every time I see a runner in scoring position and I see one of the guys in the bottom of the order come up and they either strike out or pop up or fly out or ground out or they just can't save it, get a hit to save their life. That's what I'm pulling my hair out going, you're so close. You're so close. Just give me something. Give me something to believe in. Yes, something, anything. I'll take it. Frustrated.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
And now for the Pella play-by-play, here's Jeff Levering.
Thanks, Gina Della from Pella. What a beautiful day to have new windows and doors installed.
Every day is beautiful because Pella installs year-round during all seasons.
And as Pella goes into another windup, it's so hard to guess that next pitch. The customizations seem endless.
And it doesn't have to be super expensive. Pella has a product line for every budget.
And if it is time for a major upgrade, rest easy by scoring no interest and no payments for up to 2 years.
Pella also provides a free in-home consultation, which includes a no-obligation quote.
That's always a great play because working with one of Pella's design experts is such a wonderful, no-pressure get-together. I know this from experience.
With a range of affordable options and products assembled in the USA, you can get the look you want at a price you can afford.
And there's no reason to wait with this incredible deal going on.
Get no interest and no payment for up to 2 years.
Visit PellaWI.com today.
Certain restrictions apply in 6/30/2025.
The Big River Rally coming to La Crosse, Wisconsin, June 27th and 28th. Don't miss the excitement on the main stage Friday night. It's Texas Hippie Coalition. And Saturday night Drowning Pool. Tickets are on sale now. Want more? Follow Big River Rally on social or go to BigRiverRally.com.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
You got to hit it, bang it, rock it, put it in the pocket. Hit it, bang it, rock it, put it in the pocket. Hit it, bang it, rock it, put it in the pocket.
Put it in the pocket. How we looking?
Put it in the pocket.
Bill Michaels Show.
Yeah, yeah.
I got a real nice note. This is from Dan. Dan says, hey, Bill, I have never been to Calderon Club before. I had a business meeting last night and stopped in. My business partner and I needed some place to take a client. We went to Calderon Club. We sat at the end of the bar under the Michael Circle sign, which was, I thought was pretty cool. He said, fantastic food. You have not lied. He said the eggplant was fantastic. He said the meatballs were really, really good. They had a great time, great conversation. The bartender was very attentive. It was a great place. Never been there before, and I will be sure to go back again. You weren't kidding. So I love it when stuff like that happens. Calderon Club, right, and you're right, down there at the end of the bar. Michael Circle. Sit right there. Calderon Club, 838 Old World 3rd Street next door. Now, the next time you go down, maybe you try over at San Giorgio. The Pizzeria Napolitana. That place is fantastic, too. Both places, terrific Italian food, but very, very unique on both sides. So you can't go wrong in either place. Calderon Club on one side, San Giorgio on the other, and both are absolutely delicious. Delicious. Fantastic, as he says, but delicious. Really, really, truly are. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. If you want to find us, please feel free to go ahead and do so. But I get exactly what Vinny Rattino was saying. We'll talk about that coming back. And also, we're going to talk some Pro Football Focus coming up here in about an hour. But I get what he's saying. It's a quandary. Because if you're a Brewers fan, I think right now we understand where the Brewers are at. So here's my question to you. And I'm not saying you have to give up your top prospects, but you probably got to get rid of one if you're going to go find a legitimate second, short, third base bat. Would you do it? Knowing that the Brewers are kind of looking at this, Cooper Pratt, Mate, all of these guys sitting right there right now. And that's who they want to come up and join the rest of these young guys all at the same time, like what they did back in 2008. Would you make a move now, or would you say, I'll give it another year. I'll wait another year before we start to push the chips to the middle of the table? Think about it, because that's kind of where and Vinny Rattino said it best. It's kind of like you understand both sides of the coin. So you tell me, what do you want to see if you're a Brewers fan right now? Stay tuned. We got more of the Bill Michaels Show. Another 2 hours yet to go right after this.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, another former Green Bay Packers veteran cornerback has found a new team in 2025. That would be Jair Alexander, who joined the Baltimore Ravens. He will get a 1-year, $6 million deal with $2 million in incentives. Also signing with the Dallas Cowboys would be cornerback Robert Rochelle. He got a 1-year contract for the 2025 season. He played 20 games for the Packers, primarily on special teams for the past 2 years. Now, come July 25th will be the last day for Packers president and CEO Mark Murphy. Then Ed Policy takes over. With Mark Murphy there for nearly 18 years, Policy was asked what it will be like taking over for Murphy.
There is no replacing a Mark Murphy, just like there was no replacing Bob Harlan before that. It's kind of a consistent evolution, I would say, throughout the Packers.
Also coming up for the Packers, July 23rd will begin their training camp. August 2nd will be family night at Lambeau Field.
ABC of Wisconsin is the largest apprenticeship program in the state, with more than 2,000 active apprentices in 12 different skilled trades. In the ABC apprenticeship program, you earn while you learn on the job, get paid to go to class, and graduate with a job in your craft, but without the huge college debt. Explore 12 different construction trades in one spot at buildyourcareerwi.org or just search online for ABC of Wisconsin.
There was a rainout in Wrigley last night, so Brewers and Cubs were postponed. That game will be made up as a doubleheader on August 18th. But for today, Freddie Peralta now takes the mound for the Crew opposite of Jameson Taillon. In his career, Peralta has logged a 7-2 ledger with a 2.93 ERA in 19 career games with 14 starts against the Cubs. This season, he has an ERA of 2.6 with 84 strikeouts, 32 walks, and 15 starts. First pitch today is at 1:20. For the Wisconsin Sports Zone Network, I'm Ebo.
Welcome in. The Bill Michaels Show. Good to have you on board. For sure. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. If you want to find us, please feel free to go ahead and do so. That's the way to do it. You want to track us down via text message, and I do have some text messages to answer. You can find us via 608-321-1670, 608-321-1670. Again, 608-321-1670. Find us there. You can hit us up over on YouTube, youtube.com. That is youtube.com/Bill Michaels Show. youtube.com/Bill Michaels Show. Find us on Twitter, on X, at Bill_Michaels, at Bill_Michaels, at Wisco Grant, at Wisco Grant. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok as well. And then we are on the Twitch app, the Kick app, the LinkedIn app as well. Email the program, thebillmichaels@gmail.com. The website simply thebillmichaels.com. And then you've also got After the Fact on Spotify, Apple, iTunes, Google Podcasts. Those are all great ways to find us as well. Listen to us after the fact. And then on Saturday nights, we are a television show. My 24 Milwaukee. That is My 24 Milwaukee. So there you go. Track us down. Good stuff from Vinny Rattino. As a Brewers fan, by the way, I got to answer this real quick. I did get a text message, and I wanted to get to this real quick. Where'd it go? Here it is. This is out of the 920. Said, looking for hotel recommendations downtown Cincinnati within walking distance of Great American Ballpark. We're going to see the Brewers there in August when the Brewers take on the Reds. So there's two big ones that I use. One is the Westin, and the other one is the Omni Netherland, which is right there. They're all near what's a place called Fountain Square. Okay. There's the Hyatt Regency, which is in somewhat walking distance, the Hilton and such. But if you don't want to stay necessarily downtown, you might get a little bit cheaper right across the bridge. Okay, there's the Roebling Suspension Bridge. It's a really cool old style. It's based off the Brooklyn Bridge, and it's directly across from the ballpark. So you basically would walk across the Ohio River. There's the Marriott and the Embassy Suites, Marriott River Center and Embassy Suites by Hilton. I stay at the Embassy Suites a lot when I go back home. I shouldn't say home because I haven't lived there in over 25, 26 years. I've lived in Wisconsin more than I've lived in Cincinnati. So when I go back to see my kids, I'll say, unless I stay at my buddy's house, the Embassy Suites, which is right across the river. And by the way, at night, if you get a river view, you look at the city. It's really a cool view. Same thing with the Cincinnati Marriott, even though the Cincinnati Marriott River Center is actually in Northern Kentucky. Both places really, really good. So, and they've got some pretty good restaurants and such over there in Northern Kentucky. Not the same level as what's over in Cincinnati, but you know, again, if you're driving down there, it's just across the bridge. But both places really, really good. So hopefully that helps you out. So there you go. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. If you want to give us a shout, please feel free to go ahead and do so. Again, 877-867-1670. I want to talk a little Brewers, and then I want to get into some Packers stuff. Okay, I want to talk a little Brewers, and then I'll get into some Packers stuff because I want to go back to what Vinny Rottino had to say, and he said, "Look, because I'm to the point where it's like I'm watching these guys, these runners, be left stranded. Now, some of them they were stranded by Christian Yelich, by Jackson Churio, by some of your mainstays, Bryce Terang, who has taken a bit of a dip, we'll say, when it comes to his batting average." So, yeah, I get it. I get it right now, where the Brewers are at. However, I want to see the Brewers win. I'm sorry. I want it now. I want to see, I think that they're 6.5 back. If they get a win today, they're 5.5 back. They've got those 5 games coming up in that series towards the end of the season. And they've got a decent schedule coming up. I think they can make a little bit of ground up, maybe get within 2 or 3 games by the time you get to the All-Star break. I want it. I want it now. Okay. And the fact that it's emotionally, they're chasing the Cubs, and it pains me. If it's St. Louis, it's one thing, Cincinnati, Pittsburgh, whatever. But it's the Cubs, right? Okay. Because you don't want to give up to them, right? But on the other hand, you know what this team is going to be. You kind of look at it and you're looking at some of the young guys and you're going, okay, they still have the veteran catcher in Contreras, but they've got some other guys that are going to be up and coming. They got Jackson Churio. He's locked up. Christian Yelich is going to be here for a while, right? Sal Frelick is going to be here. Garrett Mitchell and Blake Perkins. Those guys are here, and Bryce Terang. You got some of these younger guys. And then you're thinking, Cooper Pratt and Mate and, and some of the young arms and Mizorowski. And, you've got some things that can be here for a while. And then they want these guys to come up, and that whole thing, that 5, 6, 7-man nucleus begins to gel, just like they did back in 2008 when you had Corey Hart, and you had J.J. Hardy, and you had Ryan Braun, you had Prince Fielder, you had, Billy Hall, and you bring all these guys up, and, you start to put it together, and you bring in a veteran, you bring in a guy like CeCe, and you put them over the top, and that's when you make your move. So I get where they're at. I understand it. I'm not fooling myself. But I also think to myself, you only get so many swings, man. I hate to use the baseball analogy, but you only get so many swings at the postseason. There's nothing's guaranteed. So what you have in front of you is the right here and the right now. And you don't know if Cooper Pratt or Mate or any of these guys are going to come up and be that good, even though they're projected to be. There's no guarantees. So on one hand, I see the future and I understand what they're trying to do. On the other hand, I'm thinking, no guarantees. You got to take advantage of it when you can. And you got some of these young arms. You got some of these guys that are in your rotation. You've got everything. You've got pitching. You've got fielding. You've got speed. The ability to steal bases. You just need a pop. You just need something, man. You're right there. So what do you do? What do you do? What would you do? What would you do? 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. What would you do? If you're the general manager, everything I just gave you, I laid out there on the table. You're the general manager of the Brewers, and you're looking at this group of young guys. You're looking at these guys in the system. You're like, you got Carroll, Jefferson Carroll right now as a catcher. He's ranked highly as a catching prospect. Logan Henderson's down there. He's ranked high. You're going to get him up eventually. Like I said, Cooper Pratt, your shortstop, he's ranked high right now. You got guys in your system, you're like right there, man. Jesus Mate, guy can play everywhere in the infield. Luis Pena, same thing, can play everywhere in the infield. You got young guys down in the system they're coming up. They're going to be knocking on that door eventually, right? But you're sitting there right now and you're going, yeah, there's something here. I think we can do this. What do you do? What would you do? What would you do? Randy says, look at Lewis Brinson. Was supposed to be all that in a bag of chips. Didn't equate to anything. Matt Laporta. Never panned out. He was the next coming, man. They traded him away for CeCe. Never panned out. There's quite a few guys that were supposed to be that, and they come up and didn't get there.
Keston Hira.
Oh my God. Keston Hira he was all minor leagues. He was the Babe Ruth of the minor leagues. Never equated.
I think one concern I'd have about trading prospects away is, are you trading one of those valuable pieces away for a guy who's just going to maybe help you limp to a wild card this year? You know what I mean? Like, if you're trading prospects for someone who's going to be a bona fide part of this team this year and in the years to come,
right?
Like Willy Adames in 2021 or Yelich in 2018, like, I'd be down for that because, to your point, like, prospects, you never know. But I don't just want to give them away because it's like, well, crap, we're right there in the wild card. We got to do something. And then you get a second or third rate player who's here for 3 months.
Yeah. You're looking for, again, a third baseman, a shortstop, even a second baseman. Somebody in the corner that's going to help fill the bill. That's kind of where you're going, because then let's say Mate is the real deal and you bring him up. Then you've got your shortstop, second baseman. You can move around Terang, maybe a third baseman. You already have, whatever. You've got a guy that can play, that can fit. So what do? So you're trading away one piece, for a bona fide guy that's, part of your future, and you can pay, but maybe he's just on a terrible team. And they're looking to start to restock their minor league system. Maybe you go in that direction. It is hard for me when I know what the vision is to break up a portion of that vision. But I have said all along, I cannot equate prospects to somebody that's actually getting it done in the majors that can help you right now when your team has the ability to win now. Again, you only have so many bites at the apple. Who knows? The year that they bring all these guys up could be the year that your pitching staff takes a crap and arms start going down and elbows start blowing out. And you got 4 guys getting Tommy John. And then what good did it do you to hold on to those guys?
Yeah, and you talk about breaking up a vision. Like, in certain spots of this team, right? Like Churio, that's a corner piece, right? But Ortiz and Durbin, what are you telling me? We can't bring anyone in because we don't want to mess up their development.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like a good comp with the Packers. Once upon a time, 2 years ago, I didn't want them to bring anyone to get in the way of Wicks or Reed. Cause I'm like, these guys are still developing. But then you reach a point where it's like, they might not cut it. And we can't just sit around forever hoping they'll turn into something.
Right.
So if you go out and get a piece that, again, can be a piece for you now and in the future, move Durbin to the Andrew Monasterio role. Move Ortiz to I don't care. You're not winning with those guys. At this moment in time, they're not your long-term answers. And you can't sit around hoping they'll become that.
Right. I agree. I think a move needs to be made. I don't think a move necessarily means you have to give up one of your big pieces. But to me, if you do nothing, and when you talk to like Vinny and you talk to, we had, Tim Dillard on the other day, when you talk to these guys and they're like, well, I don't know if they're going to make a move. It's like, I get where they're coming from. And also remember, they work for the Brewers and FanDuel. But I'm sitting here saying, if I'm a guy in that locker room and I know that you're a player or two away, like you just need a bat, you need some kind of an igniter in the middle of that lineup. I don't care where he comes from, because right now it's not Yelich. He's not consistent enough. It's not Terang. He has cooled off. It's not Churio. He has cooled off. It's not Contreras. Certainly not Ortiz. Certainly not Durbin. You wanted it to be collective, but they're not getting it done collectively. We've seen far too many men stranded on base. You need a clutch dude. You need a bat. So I'm starting to scour rosters of teams that are pretty much, there's already 4 teams that we know of for sure that are done. So I'm looking in different areas. I'm going to Washington. I'm going to Miami. I'm going to Pittsburgh. I'm going to Colorado. I'm checking the White Sox roster, even though the White Sox roster's getting somewhat pilfered. I'm checking Baltimore. Baltimore's 11 games back. I'm going to Baltimore. I'm going to the A's. I'm checking these things. I'm going to the Royals. You've dealt with them before. Hell, I'm inquiring with Texas. I'm calling Cleveland. I'm calling Minnesota because they're all 9-10 games back as well. All of those. I'm ringing all of them. I'm calling Atlanta. Atlanta's 11 games back. Their season's pretty much done. all of that stuff. I might even call the Diamondbacks and start at least putting the feelers out to say, hey, we're looking for a third baseman, shortstop, or a second baseman. Here you go. What do you got? And if you can find somebody that's hitting 265 with 7 or 8 home runs already, I'm making a deal, man. Just that bat with a better average that can at least put the ball in play and even be in a position to drive in runs, I'd take at this point. When you just say, it's just so hard to sit there and watch a team say, and Pat Murphy go, yeah, well, we just didn't get that clutch hit. We 2 outs, when you get 2 outs on this team, it's pretty much they're done. It's very rarely they're going to start a rally with 2 outs. I don't know. It's frustrating. As a Brewers fan, it's frustrating. Jeremy Burnett says that, watch out for Atlanta. Atlanta, they're 11 games back. They're 11 games back. They're only plus 18 in the run differential. They're 11 games back in a very tough division. And remember, Philadelphia, is Bryce Harper back yet? Or is he still on the IL?
He was joining the team, I think I read this weekend, but he's still a little ways off. But he's getting there.
Right. Yeah, I think, if I'm not mistaken, he's still with that wrist inflammation. He is still on the IL. So, and when they get him back, he was like the Energizer Bunny for them. He made that team go. I think, personally, I think Atlanta's season's done. Unless they go on some hell of a run and New York starts to lose. Atlanta is 6 games under 500. The Mets are 45-29. And they don't show any signs of slowing down. I mean, right now they're a juggernaut, man, and they're scoring runs, not at the same clip the Cubs are. I mean, the Cubs are already plus 107. I mean, the Cubs, when it comes to run differential, are blowing away the rest of the league, the rest of the National League. Plus 107. As a matter of fact, they're blowing away everybody when it comes to Major League Baseball. Plus 107. I think the next closest is the Yankees at plus 97. 10 runs better than the Yankees are. I mean, the Cubs haven't done this since 1930, I think, or 1920. I can't remember which year, but that's the kind of clip of runs that they're scoring. I mean, they're a juggernaut. So anyway, 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. If you want to give us a shout, please feel free to go ahead and do so. Again, 877-867-1670. Hit us up. Got a lot more of the Bill Michaels Show. I do want to talk some Packers as well, so we're going to get into that. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
And now for the Pella play-by-play, here's Jeff Levering.
Thanks, Gina Della from Pella. What a beautiful day to have new windows and doors installed.
Every day is beautiful because Pella installs year-round during all seasons.
And as Pella goes into another windup, it's so hard to guess that next pitch. The customizations seem endless.
And it doesn't have to be super expensive. Pella has a product line for every budget.
And if it is time for a major upgrade, rest easy by scoring no interest and no payments for up to 2 years.
Pella also provides a free in-home consultation, which includes a no-obligation quote.
That's always a great play because working with one of Pella's design experts is such a wonderful, no-pressure get-together. I know this from experience.
With a range of affordable options and products assembled in the USA, you can get the look you want at a price you can afford.
And there's no reason to wait with this incredible deal going on.
Get no interest and no payment for up to 2 years.
Visit PellaWI.com today.
Certain restrictions apply. 6/30/2025.
Bill Michaels here. Your 2 wheels revved up because here it comes. The Big River Rally where the river meets the road. It rolls into La Crosse on June 27th and 28th. Join us for a weekend packed with action. Stunt shows, a killer bike show, food trucks, all kinds of awesome vendors. Friday, Rod's River Run with Texas Hippie Coalition lighting up the stage that night. Then Saturday is the Big River Rally Ride. Miles and miles of pure freedom. Then Saturday night, Drowning Pool rocks the house. Grab your tickets right now. BigRiverRally.com. That's BigRiverRally.com, and I'll see you there.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Everything's under one roof. That is Potawatomi. Whether it's the sports book, gaming, they got it all going on. And today, by the way, Thursdays, they have the big giant bounty. Go in there and get your booty. Treasure booty, that is. They have got it going on Thursdays. So if you want to stop in and check out for the treasure that could be awaiting you, Potawatomi, you got a little pirate in you. Arr! Stop down to Potawatomi. Potawatomi Sportsbook, Potawatomi Gaming, restaurants, and the hotel that's attached. And they've got music cranking upstairs and bands and thumping DJs and all the places to get an adult beverage and coffee shops. And I mean, you name it. They've got something for everybody under one roof right there at Potawatomi Sportsbook, Potawatomi Hotel, Potawatomi Casino. Go to paysbig.com. That is paysbig.com. They are a proud supporter of the 18th annual Big Unit Poker Run, taking place on August 31st. Put it on your calendars. There you go. What else do we have here for you? Trying to kind of look here, and this is from Stan. Stan says, I think the Brewers are what they are right now. I wouldn't do much of anything. If you can get a bat on the cheap, I would do it. Otherwise, I'm going to stand pat. This is from the Daily. Daily says, the Brewers are always going to be a second place runner because they're never going to take it. Well, you can't say never because they did go after CeCe. Go back to when they went after CeCe. Go back to when they paid Christian Yelich and they made the trade for Yelich. They started the trickle and then turned it on full spigot when they made the trade years ago with Houston. You know, I mean, they have made deals when they wanted to reset things. The problem is, back in 2008, when they were getting CeCe, they'd had all those guys come up. All those guys really began to prove themselves. And they said, okay, now we need to learn how to win. And they brought in a veteran who knew how to win, and he just happened to be a pitcher. Ultimately, it fell short. But it wasn't that long ago that they found themselves in an NLCS. Was it 7 years ago, 8 years ago, something like that? So I'm kind of like, it's always wait till next year. Oh no, the time will be right then. No, we got to get a contract. Then we got to get the young guys up, and then we got to get a contract. And no, we don't. We're not ready to go. We're not one player. At what point do you just say to hell with it? We're going to push it. Even if, again, like Vinny said, even if you're going for just the wild card, we've seen teams in recent history, win the wild, from the wild card, win a World Series.
Mostly the path has taken them through the Brewers.
Right.
All of those years.
When are the Brewers not going to be the path? When are the Brewers going to blaze their own path?
The Nationals, the Mets last year. Yeah.
Steven, you're right. When they went out and got Zach Greinke. Yes, I agree with that. Now, and now you've got the pitching. You're not necessarily worried about the pitching. You're just you're looking for a bat. At least take the chance. So that's where I'm at. I'm not saying you got to mortgage the future and get rid of 4 guys for one player that you're going to have a rental for. That's not what I'm doing. But I think you got to at least do your due diligence to say, hey, what can we do? Even if it's somebody that's in the majors now. Even if it's somebody that's in the majors now. TR, you say a lot of stupid stuff. You want to talk Marquette basketball and everything, and that's fine. You got to be just a horse's ass. You really do. Bring back Craig Counsell. Well, what the hell are you smoking? You just sit in a room with a 5-mask skull bong with all the masks probably strapped to your own head, breathing in whatever bad air you have over there with stuff that smells like funky skunk ass, and you're just breathing it in going, I want to talk Marquette. Oh, let's bring back Craig. Oh, God. I'm surprised you're not firing off a bring back Ned Yost. He's the guy that got him over the hump to begin with.
Well, maybe we should talk about
Scrap Iron. That was the day. Bring back Scrap Iron. I think Robin Yount should be the manager.
I always thought they moved off of Ken Maka a little bit too quickly. It's just my personal.
If they were still playing at County Stadium, we'd have more people.
It all went to hell when they went to the National League. They need to go back.
It's like you just got stupid Tourette's over there or something. It's like just shouting stuff out.
I do enjoy his, and I can't stand Marquette because I'm a Badger guy. But
I know.
I love how it'll be like the Monday after a Packer game, and we'll be passionately yelling about this and that, and TR will be like, "Talk Marquette."
Yeah.
No.
Marquette would be great if they could just dig up Al McGuire. Where's he at? Oh God. Yeah. Sometimes you gotta take a step back, and then you gotta exhale, blow out all the smoke you've been drawing in over the last hour or two. Oh God. 877-867-1670. Bottom of the hour. Let's get past it. We'll talk a little bit about the Packers in the sense of they got some contracts. They got some money. I saw a tweet that said, what are the Packers going to do with the money that they have? And when you start to think about the money that they have, and you're like, oh my God, this team, and don't get me wrong, they do have some ability here to spend some money, but it's not as much money that you would think. It's not as much money as you would think, because what's sitting there right now also needs to be spent on some of the guys that you have in the fold that are about to come up on contract. So as much as you're sitting there going, boy, they're top 3, top 4 in all of football, this is going to be great. You're also going, we got to pay about 7 guys. We're going to eat up a lot of that money. So it's not to say that you're going to end up back in the same circumstances when you were paying, Aaron Rodgers an exorbitant amount and David Bakhtiari a large amount and this and that. But you can't just say, hey, we're going to go willy-nilly throw all this money at all these different people, because you're eventually going to have to pay people. So anyway, let's do this. We'll step out. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back. We do have more to get to. We will kind of change lanes for a minute. We can always come back to it. I got some Brewers emails I want to get to. But don't go anywhere. This portion of our program, The Sanity, back into the show, is brought to you by the sanest people we know in the state of Wisconsin. That's our good friends over there at Quick Trip. They're the ones that blaze the path, man. They said, hey, we've got an idea. Don said, let's do this. Let's make it convenient. Let's make it nice. Let's make it clean for people. Don likes his ice cream. He likes his bananas, right? Bread, milk, eggs, butter. That's what we love right here in the state of Wisconsin. We're the Dairyland, for God's sake. So let's make it right. And then they did it. And they got a little bigger. A little bigger. And they're just this massive monolith that owns the city of La Crosse. And they're fantastic. And thank God we got them on every street corner. That's our friends at Quick Trip. Whether you're going in there for a take-home meal, maybe something where you just want to grab a burger, you want to get something all lined up for your tailgate, or maybe you got a big party and you're like, I need that once. I forgot to get buns. I got to go around and get the buns. They've got something for everybody right there at Quick Trip. Bakery stuff in the morning. They even make shakes right there. You can go in and make your own shake on a hot day like this, right? Go in and make your own shake. Quick Trip has something for everybody, especially while you're gassing up too. Quick Trip, don't forget, use that Quick Rewards card. And every time you go in there, they say, see you next time. And when you think about it, you're like, why next time? Oh, that's right. I will be back, because thank God we got it here in our own backyard. Ready?
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Fact or fiction, the Packers have a problem with star Packers and late career contracts. We're seeing it potentially right now to some extent with Elton Jenkins. We just saw it with Jair Alexander, depending on how you want to view the lens with Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams, to an extent, even Preston Smith-ish, Zadarius Smith, certainly so. We saw that kind of fall apart at the end. Again, there's extenuating circumstances in almost every single one of these that you could go in different directions on. But Aaron Jones is another one that we saw. We are now seeing some level of a trend of some pretty legendary Packers, some pretty star Packers get to a point where things from a contractual standpoint don't go great. And there's some seemingly angst and frustration between star Packers and the organization. Again, I think there are different threads that weave this together that you would maybe have to try to, squint hard enough to get them all in one group. But it is a noticeable trend in some regard. So I'll say it one more time, fact or fiction. The Packers have a problem with star Packers and late career contracts.
Those are the words of Andy Herman talking about some of these contracts and the way the Packers have had to deal with veterans, for lack of a better term. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. If you want to hit us up, please feel free. Go ahead and do so. Again, 877-867-1670. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends over there at M as in Michael, MIBA, MIBA Industrial Bearings. They're in Grafton, Wisconsin. They are looking for good CNC machinists right now. Right now. If you're one of them, they're willing to pay top dollar to get you in the fold. You can search for them on Indeed by searching MIBA Industrial Bearings in Grafton, Wisconsin. You can call them for the information or, some of the, I think you can find all the salary stuff too over on their Indeed search. 262-337-2210, 262-337-2210, but they're paying top dollar right now for good CNC machinists. They keep growing. And apparently the hydrodynamic bearing industry for the power generation growing by leaps and bounds. And they're a part of it. And they're based right here in the state of Wisconsin, right here in Grafton, Wisconsin. Again, give them a buzz, 262-337-2210, 262-337-2210, 262-337-2210. So there you go. So the Packers, looking at the way they have these contracts coming up, it's kind of like you've got the enemy, and you're going to have to pay somebody. They just, kind of cut loose, a former center. They've looked at Jair and said, talent-wise is good, but availability is not. We're going to cut you loose. Aaron Rodgers got expensive, problematic, cut him loose. Bakhtiari injured, big contract, cut him loose. Elton Jenkins is coming up. What are they going to do there? They're going to have to do something before the season gets underway, right? Because that's the guy that you've, for the most part, thought of as your next center. But what's going to happen in the next couple of years? Are you going to keep him around? You're going to cut him loose? So they've got contracts and thoughts. And I guess you have to ask yourself, because they wanted to keep Devontae Wyatt. They want to keep Quay Walker. You've got wide receivers that are coming up. And you look at this and you say, who is worth another contract? Because if they hit the open market, they're probably going to get a lot more than what their actual value is unless they have a breakout season this year. So when you start to think about the money that the Packers have, the escalation in salary cap next year, which will be more money, and then from there, who you want to keep. If you're sitting there right now as Brian Gutekunst, who are you looking at going, yeah, I got to keep this guy. I got to keep this guy around. And, eventually Xavier McKinney's going to come up, right? He's been a guy that's kind of been your leader, but he's a veteran. Do they do that next contract for him? Or do they say, okay, we're ready to let a guy like Javon Bullard take over, or, what have you? I mean, who Tucker Kraft is going to be a guy. Do you pay a guy like Luke Musgrave? You got Dobbs, you got Reed. Those guys are going to be coming up. When you start to prioritize, who is going to be the guy you say, yep, that's worth another contract? Because all of them are going to be predicated upon, I'd like to keep them if, and the if portion of that that conversation is if they don't cost us too much money. But as most, and when I say that, most agents want to sit down and negotiate. They all believe their guys are worth more money. They all want to take them to free agency. They all want to get more money on the open market, which they probably will. So what do you do? What do you do? Grant, is there anybody that you're looking at coming up? Because we already know that Gutekunst has said he wanted to keep Quay Walker. So eventually they're going to keep him. You would assume, unless he just has an injury-plagued season or something. But who else are you looking at going, yeah, they're on the come, and the Packers, they've got to keep this guy?
I think Zach Tom is the easy one.
Yeah. Yep.
Like, he might not be the world's best right tackle, and they can futz around at some other spots, like if they want to try to upgrade over Rasheed Walker. But I don't see a reason to make the Zach Tom contract difficult.
Right.
Like, just lock and load. Now, if you want to question whether he gets a third contract, fine. But to me, that seems like a clear-cut decision. And if it drags out and becomes a thing, I'm going to be a little confused as to why. Because I don't think it's necessary. I don't think the Packers need to make that a thing. Like Elton Jenkins has become a thing, or like other players, it's become a thing.
Yeah, Elton Jenkins he was drafted in 2000 and I want to say 19 or 20. So he's coming up on that, he's
19.
gotten his second deal. Zach Tom, you're right. Sean Ryan, does he develop into being this really staunch guard? He didn't get off to a great start, but since his rookie year was kind of a wash. I mean, he's played extremely well. The other one is going to be, the question is, what do you do with Christian Watson? I mean, I personally, if Matthew Golden's the guy, then I can probably let Christian Watson go. But Christian Watson's had such an injury-plagued career. Do you offer him a deal and say, hey, we just want to keep you around, but you're not going to break the bank for him? And then he's obviously going to have to look at the reality of what am I going to get in the open market? Because there's going to be a lot of teams that are going to say, a guy with 4.2 speed, give me that guy. So I don't think you're going to keep Christian Watson because he's probably going to want more money, and his agent's probably going to say, I can get more money with his speed on the open market. The problem is, again, the availability factor, but some team is going to take a chance on him. Much like the Ravens are just taking a chance on Jair. Now it's going to be a 1-year prove-it deal, but he may get more money on the open market to do that rather than a couple of years to stay with the Green Bay Packers. What guy are you going to keep around? Like I said, Tucker Kraft and Luke Musgrave are going to be coming up. Now, they were 2023 guys. So was Jaden Reed. But Romeo Dobbs is going to be the next up on the docket. We're going to have to make some decisions on him. I talked about Quay Walker. Eventually, you're going to have what? I think replaceable guys are Carl Brooks and Colby Wooden and Carrington Valentine. And those guys, I think they were all 23 guys, if I'm not mistaken. But they're going to, they got a lot of young guys and some depth, and they're going to have to make some monetary decisions here as to who they're going to target and who they're not. Then again, I'll tell you this, as the team sits right now, it's a big year for a lot of guys on this team. Big year monetarily for a lot of guys on this team.
Now, just because I don't feel like there are any other clear-cut decisions, that doesn't mean I wouldn't want to sign anyone else. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, we'll see how this year goes. But I think one player on this roster who's like, why is this not easy? Like, if there's one or two guys on this team who shouldn't have to prove it for another year, it should be me. I think that's Zach Tom. Everybody else between Dobbs and Watson and Reed, just all of them. Like, I need more from all of them, and I think that's fair. And if they feel differently, then they can go pound sand. But if Zach Tom all of a sudden starts to question, like, why am I still fighting for a contract? I'll be on his side against the Packers if this drags out and becomes a thing.
Right. Right. Yeah, I'm kind of in the same thought process with you, but it's something to think about when you talk about all the different. Like Rick says, I'd keep Watson over Romeo Dobbs, but suppose that's why I say this is such a big season, and that's going to play out. I mean, eventually that decision is going to get made for you. But suppose Dobbs does have a good season, does not, because he's a trusted guy from Jordan Love. He can play slot. He can play out. Better out of the slot, to be perfectly honest with you. But suppose he has a good year this year, does not have a concussion. You know? Watson's going to be out all season long. Romeo Dobbs has a real leg up here, a real opportunity to kind of make a name for himself and maybe get that second contract with the Packers. So I just... When you think, again, Andy Herman's comments there, when you think about it, it's got a lot of, this is a big, big year. Let's go to Duke listening to us in Green Bay. Duke, what's going on, man? How you doing today?
I'm doing fine. I agree on Tom, but how much money can you tie up in that offensive line? I mean, look at you paid the left guard, Banks. And now the guy they're moving there to center, Jenkins, he's going to get a pile. And Zach Tom is going to get in the excess of $20 million, probably closer to $25 million. You got to wonder why they drafted that lineman in the second round if there isn't something. I mean, they passed up on not drafting a corner to take an offensive lineman who isn't projected to start. Does that make any sense at all? To burn a second rounder that high? I mean, how much money can you tie up in that line?
Yeah. I understand where you're coming from. Here's the thing, though, with the offensive line, and I appreciate the phone call, because when you look at a guy like Anthony Belton, who they brought in, second round draft choice, they also drafted John Williams. You needed the depth. And here's the reason why. You saw what happened when Walker and Jenkins went down against Philadelphia. It was a sieve. Jordan Morgan clearly wasn't ready at that point because he had he'd been banged up. So what you did was, knowing you've got Aaron Banks and you basically have him on a year or two deal. Elton Jenkins, whatever you sign him for, is probably going to be a year or two. And then you've got Belton, who still has a rookie contract. Williams, who still has a rookie contract. Jordan Morgan, who still has a rookie contract. Then what you have is a first round, a second round, and a seventh round guy as a backup. Plus, you're going to have Zach Tom and Sean Ryan coming up. Maybe you pick the lesser of two evils. Maybe Sean Ryan is the odd man out at the guard position. And you move Jordan Morgan into that, or Anthony Belton into that. Although he's more of a tackle than he is a guard. But I think what they've done is, the reason they do, you can never have too many guys at one position. If you take the best available, you can never have too many guys at one position, because you could have a rash of injuries, and the next thing you know, you're left holding the bag because you're trying to outthink it. You're trying to draft for need. And if they did indeed say, hey, we need to stock up on some offensive linemen, so we don't mind taking them at that particular position and adding depth and just let everybody kind of fight it out, so to speak, it's not a bad way to go. I don't mind it, because everybody else behind those guys, behind, say, you're starting 10, you've got a backup for everybody, right? Everybody else, Kadeem Telford, Tyler Cooper, Trey Hill going across that line, Brant Banks, Donovan Jenkins, J.J. Lipp, all those guys they were free agent pickups, whether it's, undrafted guys or what have you. They were all free agent pickups. So you're not spending a ton of money on those guys. The guys that you have via draft are Travis Glover, Jordan Morgan, Jacob Monk, I mentioned Anthony Belton, John Williams. You got guys that you drafted that said, hey, these guys could fill the bill, I believe. And therefore, you have depth on your offensive line. So, and I'm a trenches guy. I believe everything starts up front anyway. So I don't mind paying extra if indeed you're getting quality out of them. It's just, is the level of play you're seeing worth what the market will bear? And that's what you ask yourself if you're Goody. If you say, look, this is all we see out of you, here's the number. And if they balk at it, well, then you got to go out and draft more offensive linemen, because you're only going to, it's like Goody, they talked about a walk away number. And I think you've got, with some of these guys, a walk away number might be the best way to put it.
I think that's fair. And I'm with Duke if they also then go ahead and pay Rasheed Walker. Like if they pay both of their current tackles and they sign the guard and they're committing Delton Jenkins, what was the Jordan Morgan and the Anthony Belt? What were those picks for then?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like they can't just be, well, we want good depth. Well, guess what? In a salary cap league where you have limited picks, you're going to have to find it more efficiently than that.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I don't mind having depth on a rookie deal, though. And again, if that's the best available, if it wasn't the best available and you're reaching for a pick at another position, then it maybe that doesn't turn out, because that doesn't always work that way.
But depth on the O-line is, in a perfect world, isn't going to play. Like you can mix in depth at corner or D-line. Like D-line, you can rotate them in. You can use those guys. In a perfect world, they're sitting on the bench if they're O-linemen.
In a perfect world. But when you needed them most was in the postseason against Philadelphia, and they got mauled. You know, that's when you needed them most. You didn't need them at all during the regular season, and all of a sudden your starting guard and tackle go down on the left side of that line, and the next thing you know, Jordan Love is running for his life because the depth wasn't there. So I can see why they did what they did. It's a good discussion, though. It's legitimate. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Hit us up. We'll come back and talk more about it. Dwayne, D-U-A-N-E-S. Dwayne's Cover It All. Like I said, man, he did an amazing job on my Bimini top a couple of years ago when he custom cut it just for me so I could actually stand up. It's tall enough to where I can stand up underneath it, being 6'6". Now, a new travel cover, a new cockpit cover, plus a new floor, and fix the upholstery. The boat looks like brand new. It's a 2008 and no oxidation because the travel cover and everything stays down over the color portions of it. So no oxidation. It's got a new engine. It's got a new floor. The upholstery is like brand new. All the areas that had little tiny tears that could end up being big tears, fixed, done. They look great. It's awesome. It's the trailer looks worse than the boat, and the trailer looks good. It's amazing the job he did. So whether it's boat covers, like I just had done, upholstery, like I had done, how about an awning out in front of your business? Can do that too. Office furniture, get it reconditioned rather than going out and buying all new. Or much like a business right here in the state of Wisconsin, it builds the pit boxes for race teams. And they said, oh, by the way, we want to cover these things up in the rain. Who do we go to? Oh, that's right. Dwayne's Cover It All up in Wausau. Call them, 715-870-2119, 715-870-2119. Again, 715-870-2119. Yes, Mark, he can do custom cover for cars too. If you got a good classic car, maybe something you rebuilt, and you want a really nice cover to go over it, yes, he can do that too. 715-870-2119. Again, 715-870-2119. More of the Bill Michaels Show.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
And now for the Pella play-by-play, here's Jeff Levering.
Thanks, Gina Della from Pella. What a beautiful day to have new windows and doors installed.
Every day is beautiful because Pella installs year-round during all seasons.
And as Pella goes into another windup, it's so hard to guess the next pitch. The customizations seem endless.
And it doesn't have to be super expensive. Pella has a product line for every budget.
And if it is time for a major upgrade, rest easy by scoring no interest and no payments for up to 2 years.
Pella also provides provides a free in-home consultation, which includes a no-obligation quote.
That's always a great play because working with one of Pella's design experts is such a wonderful, no-pressure get-together. I know this from experience.
With a range of affordable options and products assembled in the USA, you can get the look you want at a price you can afford.
And there's no reason to wait with this incredible deal going on.
Get no interest and no payment for up to 2 years.
Visit PellaWI.com today.
Certain restrictions apply. 6/30/2025.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Three hours down, another hour yet to go. Don't go anywhere. More of the Bill Michaels Show coming up next.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, another former Green Bay Packers veteran cornerback has found a new team in 2025. That would be Jair Alexander, who joined the Baltimore Ravens. He will get a 1-year, $6 million deal with $2 million in incentives. Also signing with the Dallas Cowboys would be cornerback Robert Rochelle. He got a 1-year contract for the 2025 season. He played 20 games for the Packers, primarily on special teams for the past 2 years. Now, come July 25th will be the last day for Packers president and CEO Mark Murphy. Then Ed Policy takes over. With Mark Murphy there for nearly 18 years, Policy was asked what it will be like taking over for Murphy.
There's no replacing a Mark Murphy, just like there was no replacing Bob Harlan before that. It's kind of a consistent evolution, I would say, throughout the Packers.
Also coming up for the Packers, July 23rd will begin their training camp. August 2nd will be family night at Lambeau Field.
ABC of Wisconsin is the largest apprenticeship program in the state, with more than 2,000 active apprentices in 12 different skilled trades. In the ABC apprenticeship program, you earn while you learn on the job, get paid to go to class, and graduate with a job in your craft, but without the huge college debt. Explore 12 different construction trades in one spot at buildyourcareerwi.org or just search online for ABC of Wisconsin.
There was a rainout in Wrigley last night, so Brewers and Cubs were postponed. That game will be made up as a doubleheader on August 18th. But for today, Freddie Peralta now takes the mound for the Crew opposite of Jamison Talion. In his career, Peralta has logged a 7-2 ledger with a 2.93 ERA in 19 career games with 14 starts against the Cubs. This season, he has an ERA of 2.6 with 84 strikeouts, 32 walks, and 15 starts. First pitch today is at 1:20. For the Wisconsin Sports Zone Network, I'm Ebo.
Welcome back. Bill Michaels Show. Thanks for joining us. We certainly appreciate you being here today. It's going to be that kind of weekend. A little grilling going on over here at the household. Our friends at Burn Pit Barbecue helping us out. And I got some, like I've been telling you, we got the baby shower here, the Jack and Jill. 45, 50 people coming to the house. I'm doing burgers and brats and ribs on a stick and all kinds of good stuff. So we're going to be grilling up some stuff from Roberts and then adding some stuff with our friends at Burn Pit. Do a little pogey bait on some of the other burgers, a little barbecue sauce. Not a bad way to go. Look, if you're going to be doing some grilling and you're thinking about the weekend, or maybe you're thinking about next week, or just nice gift box for dad or somebody that likes to grill in their life, go to burnpitbbq.com. That is burnpitbbq.com. They're based right here in the state of Wisconsin. They are veteran-owned as well, one of the best veteran-owned companies in the country. That is burnpitbbq.com. That is burnpitbbq.com. Always remember that stuff. Our good friend Dalton Wasserman from Pro Football Focus at PFF_Dalton joining us on the hotline. Dalton, how you doing, pal?
Fantastic. How's the offseason treating you?
So far, so good. It has been somewhat drama-free, I guess is the best way to put it, now that the Jair saga has ended. Give me your thoughts on Jair Alexander signing for the total of $6 million with a lot of incentives over there to make $6 million over there in Baltimore.
Yeah, obviously he's still a talented player who's just gone through a lot of injury struggles the last couple of years, right? I don't think there's any doubt that he can still play when he's out there on the field. It's just a matter of health and being out there consistently. And clearly it seemed like at the end of the day, even though there may have been equal or better offers on the table, that he wanted to go back to Baltimore with his college teammate Lamar Jackson. They were both together at Louisville, obviously. And I think for the Ravens, it gives them, a complete secondary now. They lost a couple of starters, one in Brandon Stevens to free agency, the other in Adarius Washington to an Achilles tear earlier this spring, but they've really patched it together. They took Malachi Starks in the first round. Now Alexander filling out that last cornerback spot. It really completes the secondary now that emerged over the second half of last year as one of the NFL's better units.
So let's talk about the young guys the Packers have, because Jair's now gone, and we wish him well, just not well against the Green Bay Packers when they play him later this year. But the Packers have got a slew of younger guys, and I don't know if you and I have really talked since Matthew Golden's come into the fold, Savion Williams has come into the fold. They picked up a couple of offensive linemen. What are your thoughts on what the Packers did in this offseason via the draft?
Yeah, no, I think there was an obvious emphasis, especially with those two receivers, like you mentioned, to add speed to this offense, right? I think what you saw last year offensively was just, especially with Christian Watson always hurt, there wasn't enough speed. There wasn't enough, anybody to take safeties off the top of the defense, and everything last year offensively got squeezed down closer and closer to the line of scrimmage. Now, it didn't affect the run game because Josh Jacobs was so good, but you could clearly see it affecting the receivers, affecting their ability to separate, and affecting Jordan Love's ability to not have to throw into all those tight windows underneath. And then there was times where he was getting back into his bad habits of trying to force home runs down the field. So I think that's what you get with Golden and Williams, two guys who obviously are extremely just they bring that element of speed, right? That can get you downfield and then open things up for everybody else to complement the underneath route runners like Dobbs, like Wicks, like Reed. So I think what those two bring especially is a more complete element to the passing game that stretches the field vertically.
Which, when Christian Watson comes back, and you hope that he's back and you hope that he's got the same level of speed, I mean, between him and Matthew Golden, they should have really good guys to split out. I mean, but this is a big year for Romeo Dobbs, drafted in 2022, Jaden Reed in 2023. Obviously, Reed had a concern getting a new agent saying, hey, where do I fit into this offense? With everything, I don't think it's this real unbelievable high-end burner pool. But with Dobbs and Golden and Reed and Savion Williams and Watson and Dontavian Wicks, and then you throw in McCole Hardman to the mix, a veteran, and then you've got Tucker Kraft and Luke Musgrave, seemingly they've got a lot of weapons on this team, right?
They do. And I think, look, if you're Matt LaFleur, you feel really good about having that plethora of options. And obviously there's always injuries and things that happen. But I think to have that many options going into training camp again, and a lot of guys, all those guys you mentioned there, different skill sets, right? There's nothing wrong with having two solid tight ends, right? Then you have some speed guys in Watson and Golden, right? Savion Williams is very much, kind of a gadget player, jet sweeps, even a wildcat quarterback type of role that he can fill. And then you got some underneath route runners. So I think what it really comes down to, aside from Golden, and I would say Reed is the next safest one because of the work he can do in the slot, especially, I think you have an open competition, and whoever plays the best through training camp, through preseason, and even the early weeks of the season, those are the guys that are going to get reps. But I don't think that's an issue, right? Would you rather have more talent or less talent to work with? Yeah, they might have to pare it down, and maybe eventually we see somebody like a Christian Watson get traded towards the end of the preseason. You could see that if everybody's playing well and he's the odd man out, then so be it. But I don't think there's ever a problem with having too much talent in the room.
Give me your thoughts on Micah Robinson, because they're kind of, I look at the secondary, and we know Nate Hobbs is back there, and they know that there's Javon Bullard, Xavier McKinney and company. You got Kalen King from last year back there. They were happy with what they had. Carrington Valentine's a 7th-round draft choice, so if he makes it and has any impact at all, he's going to be a decent player for them at a cheaper amount of money. But as a 7th-round draft choice, Micah Robinson, he kind of needs to make this team and be somewhat impactful for this draft to be an impactful draft. Give me your thoughts there.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think cornerback is probably that, and maybe edge rusher. Those are the two spots that concern me the most on this team, especially you talk about Jair Alexander's departure. Well, it leaves a lot of questions because they signed Hobbs and Robinson was the only corner they drafted. I think very much like you have at receiver, like we just mentioned, you have an open competition. I think Robinson has every chance to make the team. And look, if he were to emerge as a starting caliber player, as a 7th-round pick, all of a sudden that's some surplus value you're getting out of that. It's a great thing to have. So you talk about Keyshawn Nixon started to play outside a little bit, but he's got inside-outside versatility. Hobbs has played a lot in the slot throughout his career. So I think when you talk about a guy like Robinson, especially if he can emerge as at least a contributor at one of those outside spots, it really opens up things for the rest of the secondary, especially in that cornerback room, to go, okay, we can get flexible and we can just put the best guys on the field when we need to, as opposed to locking him in to certain roles. And it might make more sense if he can establish himself through training camp and through preseason to get either Hobbs or Nixon back inside where they've been more comfortable in the past.
So I want to go back to when we were talking about the edge rusher. Give me when Lucas Van Ness came into the league, were you high on him as an edge rusher?
I was a little surprised that he went as high as he did with that 13th overall pick. Because I think, look, at Iowa, and it's often the case at Iowa, they have very fundamentally sound players, but he's not the most explosive athlete in the world, right? And you're talking about a position where you have the Myles Garretts and the Micah Parsons and the T.J. Watts and Aiden Hutchinsons of the world. These guys that are just freaks, and he doesn't have that freaky athletic ability. Obviously, good athlete for his size, powerful player, fundamentally sound player, but there needs to be that level of explosiveness. So this is really a proven year for him because he's only got 42 pressures, I believe it is, through his first 2 years. Hasn't really impressed consistently throughout the first 2 years. The Packers desperately need somebody off the edge who can produce, because last year when they were blitzing and Jeff Hafley was getting creative, that was great. But when they only sent 4 rushers last year, they were a bottom 5 pass rush team for us. So they really need Van Ness and Rashawn Gary and those guys up front, especially off the edge, to figure it out quickly.
So now they bring in Baron Sorrell. Give me your thoughts there, because he seems to be the guy that they said they didn't want to go out and find a free agent edge rusher. And that Goody at the combine said, I've got all the confidence in the world. We're really high. We're looking for a breakout season out of Lucas Van Ness. But then they drafted Sorrell. Give me your thoughts on him coming in and backing up Lucas Van Ness.
I think he's definitely a guy who you can work into the rotation probably right now, probably 20, 25 snaps a game. Look, Texas defensive linemen, they're very well taught, and they're versatile. If there's one thing you're going to like about Sorrell is that he can align in all sorts of different alignments. He can get out there out wide in a wide 9. He can line up over the tackle, maybe even inside a little bit. He's really good in run defense. He's got long arms, and he's strong in run defense too. So I don't think there's necessarily one trait that sticks out to you and you go, wow, he's so explosive. He's some freak at 260 who runs a 4.4, anything like that. But he's a guy who's just all around. He's going to get on the field. He's going to do his job. That's what he did in Texas. He was an underrated pass rusher, but I think all the way around, just a solid football player who can probably contribute 20 to 25 snaps a game right now.
So the Packers in a division in which if you kind of line it up talent for talent, player for player, I still think Detroit's probably the most talented team in the division. Have you sat down and you kind of looked and said, okay, who had a really good offseason? Who maybe closed the gap? Chicago obviously tried to shore up the offensive line and give Caleb Williams a little breathing room, especially with a new head coach that understands the offense. Give me your thoughts on the NFC North.
I think it's as wide open a division as any in football. It may be the best division in football by the end of the year because, you look at the Packers obviously have a talented team that's made the playoffs the last 2 years. The Lions lost some pieces, and especially both coordinators going to hurt, but you mentioned it. They're still extremely talented with Aiden Hutchinson coming back, especially. Minnesota added a lot of talent, especially in the offensive and defensive lines. They're a lot better than they were there last year, and the only question is McCarthy in the transition into being the starter. And then you mentioned Chicago, just a spectacular offseason. You can see the vision that Ben Johnson wants, and it comes down to Caleb Williams. So I think you've got arguably top to bottom the most competitive division in football. And if you ask me to pick who's going to win it right now, I'm not even sure. I'll be honest, I got to do a little more analyzing before I make that prediction. It may be the toughest division in football right now to predict.
The big thing for the offseason, and for as much as we talk about all the other positions and the wideouts and the running backs and everything, and what Josh Jacobs still can bring, and Marshawn Lloyd when he comes back healthy, the bottom line is I think mechanically he needed to go away and just kind of get himself right and healthy, and that was Jordan Love. And how much of a microscope are you putting on Jordan Love coming into this season?
I think a solid microscope, because I think what concerned me more, and I know he was playing hurt, and that never helps at all, but I think there were moments last year when you saw the decision-making of the first half of 2023 when he was still getting his feet wet as the starter and forcing too many shots downfield and trying to make too many big throws. That started to creep in a little bit, and you don't want those bad habits to creep in. So what I'm hoping he did for himself this offseason is watch the tape and go, look, take the throws the defense gives you, check the ball down sometimes, get first downs, and those home runs are going to present themselves, right? If he gets back to the good habits that he showed in the second half of 2023, that's a guy that looked like a top 6 to 8 quarterback in the NFL and maybe a guy you could win a Super Bowl with, right? So it's all about habits with him. It's about good footwork and fundamentals. I know that's something Matt LaFleur has talked about a lot. When Jordan Love's feet are set and he's making the right throw, he's as talented as any quarterback in football, but he's just mentally got to get back to the right habits and snap to snap consistency.
Real quick before I let you go, we talked a little bit about Marshawn Lloyd coming back. How high were you on him coming out of the draft? Many thought he was the best running back coming out of the draft last year.
I didn't have him as the best one, but I believe I had him top 5 or 6, somewhere in there. Look, he's really physically talented. When you look at the way he's built and the way he can run when he gets out in the open field, that's a guy you just go, man, that looks like an NFL running back. I think there's times when he's got to work on his vision a little bit. He's a little bit more of a one-cut back, which I think if Matt LaFleur is going back to some of those zone schemes like that he used to run, right, and he learned under Kyle Shanahan and that whole system, I think that can really help. But I think it helps also to have the workhorse in Josh Jacobs, to have another guy who got good experience last year, Emmanuel Wilson, to break Lloyd in slowly. There's some fundamental things that he's got to work on, but physically, he's really talented. With a little more development behind the scenes, he can be a solid player.
Dalton, great stuff as always. Always appreciate you joining us, bud. And as the season approaches, we'll get back in touch with you, okay?
Appreciate you as always, Bill. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks, buddy. There you go. Dalton Wasserman from Pro Football Focus, and does a lot of their college stuff, but he is always big on breaking down specifically new guys coming into the league, and just to kind of give you a little bit of idea of depth on this team. And you can always get a hold of him, too, and follow his stuff at PFF_Dalton, at PFF_Dalton. Get a hold of him there. But always good to kind of pick his brain and get a thought. But, like he said, they got depth. They've got some guys that, when we talk about the wide receiving core, it's not like you've got 5 guys that are all, Jamar Chase, but you've got 5 guys that are legit, as opposed to having 2 guys and a bunch of questionable marks that, you hope they can catch a pass. You hope, there's probably 1 or 2 guys in this roster. You look at a guy like Dontavian Wicks, he's got to prove himself when it comes to drops, right? He's got to get over the drops and get past that. That's one of the things, big thing. But after that, you got a couple of guys that you're looking at going, okay, you got a guy like Christian Watson's got to come back from injury. What's he going to be when he comes back? What kind of depth is McCole Hardman going to add, right? Savion Williams, unproven in the NFL. Matthew Golden, unproven in the NFL. Jaden Reed wants the ball more. Malik Heath is another guy that, they've liked at times as that, he was an undrafted guy that made the squad and makes those drafts look good. So you got legitimately 8 guys. Bo Melton, I haven't even thrown Bo Melton in there. 9 guys. And now Christian Watson's going to be out of the mix for a while. So technically 8 going to have to, fight for those 6 or 7 spots in this team. But you got 9 guys you got a chance to choose from. So it seems like at least your choice of weaponry, the best of the best at the time, shouldn't be too bad. It should actually be pretty good. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. You want to find us? That if you got something to say, do it. I also, when we come back, I was kind of going through this during the top of the hour break before we got Dalton on. And I thought, okay, I'm going to put my money where my mouth is. Who's a couple of guys that I would have my eye on? One of them might surprise you, but I've heard he's out there, and I was kind of reading a few things out of the MLB pipeline that he might be available. So I thought, okay, that might not be a bad way to go. So I'll tell you about that when we come back. Don't go anywhere. Hey, big night tonight. Right now, if you're going to head out to Curly's Waterfront Sports Bar and Grill, you can go check it out and also maybe sit down, catch a little bit of the Brewers game. Nothing wrong with that at Curly's Waterfront Sports Bar and Grill. Otherwise, they're always doing something really, really cool. Today, it is Thursday. And they had a big hump day yesterday when they had all their specials going on. But today, Thursday, tonight is trivia. Yesterday, they had some bingo going on. Tonight is trivia. Tenderloin sandwich, sliders, double raffle tickets. Oh, yeah. Plus the Brewers are on. And they do that midweek. They do the tenderloin sandwich. They've had for a while now the fish and the ribs special. But also they got sliders, tenderloin sandwiches today. They got the Brewers on. Plus, they're giving away with trivia tonight. Brewers tickets tonight, cash, and some Dock Hounds tickets for the area. So supporting some of the smaller teams as well. A lot of good specials out there. And it's all at Curly's Waterfront Sports Bar and Grill right there on Pewaukee Lake, Lakeview Boulevard in Pewaukee to be exact. Stay tuned. More of the Bill Michaels Show coming up next.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Gear up for Quick Trip's Mountain Dew Quick Climb. Now through August 17th. Play free daily in the Quick Rewards app and earn bonus plays with every eligible purchase. Grab one with hot food. That's 2 bonus plays. Each week, the cash prize climbs by $5,000, all the way to a $250,000 grand prize. So open the app and get climbing. Your summer, your climb, your win. No purchase necessary. Open U.S. residents residing in Illinois, Iowa, Minnesota, Michigan, South Dakota, North Dakota, or Wisconsin. Ends August 17th. Bonus plays require qualifying purchase. See full rules at quickttrip.com/sweepstakes.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Next weekend, looking forward to it. We're going to be in lacrosse next weekend, heading out. And I believe heading out on Thursday night. But I'm going to be in town on Friday, Saturday, then Sunday coming back. But we're going to be there for the big river rally and can't wait. They've got rides both on Friday and Saturday. I'm going to be a part of the ride on Saturday. And they've got Texas Hippie Coalition going at it on Friday night. And they got some really good music out there, new vendors and such. So Drowning Pool is going to be on coming up on Saturday night out there. And last year was its first year, and they're going to do this yearly, and it's going to continue to grow. Is kind of a cool Midwest rally. I mean, you've got the Tomahawk Fall Ride here in the state, which is what a lot of people go to, but this is starting to grow, especially coming up at the end of June before 4th of July and everything, when people are kind of itching to get out. You just knock on wood. Hopefully the weather's going to be good, but I'm going to be out there next week, so really looking forward to that. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. If you want to find us, please feel free to go ahead and do so. Again, 877-867-1670. Going back to the Brewers here real quick, and I do want to get into this. This is from Robert. And Robert says, okay, let me do his first one because he sent me two of them. So he said, first of all, don't blow the future for a low probability outcome. You might catch the Cubs, but you probably won't win the World Series, which is the ultimate goal. We don't have enough horses right now, so let's just wait. He also goes on to say, even though you would pick up another big bat, and it would have to be a big bat, the team doesn't have enough experience to make a push this year. Also, I'm not sold on McGill being the closer of the future. I get a little bit nervous every time he comes in. No lead is safe. Like one broadcaster said of K-Rod, 12 minutes of terror. If not McGill, who do you see in that role in the future? Mears or Uribe, somebody else? Uribe is probably going to be the guy that could possibly go into that role. But let me go back here for a second. Hang on a second here. Let me go back here for a second. And when you look at what might be available, okay? And I was looking at this. Where did it go? Where did it go? What did I just had it. Oh, here it is. So I was going through a list of guys out of MLB Pipeline and Yahoo. And I think Yahoo does a great job of breaking some things down. And there's a lot of players, mainly pitchers, that are available, okay? But two guys that caught my eye that I don't think would take a lot. But Eugenio Suarez, the third baseman from Arizona. And I said Arizona would be one of the teams that I call. 21 home runs. Now, he doesn't hit for average. He's only like a 230, 240 hitter. But he's that power guy that can play third base. And he has, when you look at his numbers, how consistent they've been since 2019, he ranks 6th in Major League Baseball behind Aaron Judge, Pete Alonso, Kyle Schwarber, Ohtani. I mean, those are the numbers he's kind of putting up when it comes to home runs. And that's a legit bat. That's a legit power hitter. So that would be an area. I don't think it would cost you a ton. Okay. The other direction, when you look at it now, he can hit for power and he hits for average. Okay. If you wanted to say trade away like a Rhys Hoskins and prospect or one of your pitchers, whatever, Ryan O'Hearn from Baltimore. And Baltimore's out of it too, because you got to look at teams that are out of it, right? He's hitting 302 with 10 dingers. He's a first baseman or a DH, but he's a first baseman. And that would be a guy that I could go after. Now, both of these guys you're talking about being free agents and such, so it's not going to cost you a ton. But maybe you lock them up. The power numbers are going to be, you're going to have to pay for it. But O'Hearn could be for a while, but at least 3 years, because he is 31 years old. So you're not going to pay him, like a 10-year contract. He's looking for probably a bigger deal, or it might not cost you a lot to get him on a rental to just bring a guy in to shore up your third base position. I know you want control, and I'm all for that if you can find it, but it's few and far between out there right now. There's not a lot where teams are going to be willing to give up first or third baseman for a long period of time. Josh Naylor is another one. I don't know if the Diamondbacks would want to get rid of him. He's got, I think, 9 or 10 home runs, but he's another name that I saw that was out there. But that guy's got a 305 batting average. And I think he's closing in on 300 at bats. But he would be another one that you could look at. But again, are you going to add a couple of players that are going to get you over the hump offensively? Because I think pitching-wise, you're good. But they just a few things to think about. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Hit us up again, 877-867-1670. Give us a shout. What's another one here? This is from Jason. Jason says, "Hey, are you going to be down at Summerfest this weekend? Are you going down to see James Taylor at all?" Nope, not. First of all, it's going to be 95 degrees. Are you going to be down there?
Not for James Taylor, but yeah, we'll be down there Saturday night.
I've seen James Taylor a couple of times. It's a good show. It's just I'm not going to go. One, no. I've seen him a couple of times already. And two, 95 degrees. First of all, I'm probably going to be at Road America. And then once Road America is done, I'm probably going to be poolside somewhere after that. So, no, we're not going to see James Taylor. Not going to happen. You know what? There's only probably a few that I wouldn't mind seeing. Not a lot. No, not the Lumineers. Oh my God, no, not the Lumineers. There's a couple. First of all, yeah, Lainey Wilson. Wouldn't mind going seeing her. I'm not a big Shane Smith and the Saints fans, but I have heard it, and there's some things that I like. Cold War Kids, I like. Not bad, but that's kind of it. I mean, unless I went to see Def Leppard tonight, I'm not going to go do that. So that's kind of it when it comes to my my daily schedule down there at Summerfest. Just saying. Sorry to disappoint you, but anyway.
The people want you out and about.
I guess people just want to know what we're doing, But you're heading down. You're going down on Sunday?
Saturday.
Saturday? Okay. There you go.
I don't know how early we might sit in the backyard with our feet in it. I don't have a friend with a pool, but one friend has a backyard, and we will fill up the kiddie pool with cold water, and then we'll all sit there with our feet in it. And that's
I'll let you know because I'm again 95 degrees day of the race. Race is not going to be late into the evening. So Kristen said, if we don't take the boat out, then let's go to the club and sit by the pool. So if you want to go to the pool, let me know. Nothing like sitting, drinking a margarita, sitting next to the pool in a cabana.
Up in Mequon, it's not too bad.
Not too bad. Not a bad drive from where you're at either. So who knows? Anyway, let's do this. We'll step away. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back. We got more to get to. Stay tuned. Got a whole lot more of the Bill Michaels Show. Don't go anywhere yet. Brewers, by the way, that quick. Bam! 1-0. 1-0. Already up. I'm liking it. Stay tuned.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Good to have you back. The Bill Michaels Show. I want to remind you that there's a terrific ride that is coming up in August. If you're a bicyclist, it is called WIMI. I call it the Wimmy Wish Ride. Okay, that's what I call it, but you can call it whatever you want. WIMI wishride.org. That's WIMI wishride.org. And it is it's coming up in August. And it's basically a 200-mile ride. And for many of you, it's really kind of cool in the sense that a lot of people like to do these rides that, you know, give them distance, give them scenery and everything, but they do them for causes. But this is kind of a test. This is 100 miles up and 100 miles back. Marinette, Wisconsin to Kingsford, Michigan. WIMIwishride.org. And it's August 9th and 10th. And you can go to WIMIwishride.org, get registered. You can make a donation, but it benefits Make-A-Wish Wisconsin and Make-A-Wish Michigan. So you ride up to Kingsford one day, you come back the next day, back to Marinette, Wisconsin. And it's that simple. And like I said, it's going to be a great trek through the countryside and some scenic water routes and such. And but they're just hoping to raise a lot of money. And it's the first ever venture in doing this. So be a part of the inaugural ride. And it's benefiting Make-A-Wish Wisconsin and Make-A-Wish Michigan. And proceeds from the event, they're going to help grant life-changing wishes for kids with critical illnesses. So you're doing it for a very, very worthy cause as well. WIMIwishride.org. That's WIMIwishride.org. Vinny Rattino joining us on the hotline. Vinny, how you doing?
What's up, Bill? Great. How you doing?
I'm doing good. I think the Brewers got hosed. I get it. Yesterday couldn't play the game. It was raining like crazy, all that kind of stuff. But, man, I thought they could have got both games in today before 7 o'clock. That wouldn't have been needed to consider a night game. Now you got to play 18 games in 17 days later in the season. That's not an easy task at all, is it?
Not one bit. However, that series against the Cubs in Wrigley is going to be a 5-gamer. And so, you know, if the Brewers remain kind of like middling right here in the NL Central, that could be an opportunity. Now, I know I'm asking maybe for a little bit of a fantasy land situation here of sweeping a 5-game series against the Cubs. But, you know, that will make for some exciting baseball later on. But you're right. It probably should be playing a doubleheader today. Not exactly sure why they're not, especially if you have Freddie and The Miz going in that doubleheader. Sounds like The Miz is going to be pushed back a day, and Freddie's going to go today.
Yeah, that was another part of it. I don't think they wanted to face both Mizorowski and Freddie Peralta. So, again, you get hosed down there in Chicago. So, I agree with you. Look, the best scenario is if you're close, you have your fate in your own hand. You have nobody to blame but yourself if things don't work out. 100% agree. The other night, they couldn't buy a hit, man. And we've seen this before where they do just enough to make it exciting, but just enough to also lose a ball game because they can't get clutch hits. Now, it's not like all season long, every year it's the same thing, but this year, man, they have stacked up so many base hits and so many opportunities only to fall short. I just keep wondering at what point does Matt Arnold say, yeah, we probably need to go out and get a bat? You know what I mean?
Yeah, just with what the expense is and what they're going to have to give up to get a bat that's actually going to make an impact, I can't foresee that happening. They're going to have to figure out a way to get runners in and manufacture runs, because you're right, they don't hit enough homers like the Cubs do, right? So the Cubs have 99 home runs on the season. That's fifth in all of baseball. And just to compare that with the Brewers, who are 25th in all of baseball with homers, so 66 home runs. Mm-hmm. And so they're going to have to find a way to manufacture those runs. They're doing their best. They're putting pressure on opposing pitching staffs with their ability. Even when they're not scoring runs, they're still stealing bases, right? So they're third in all of baseball. They're actually tied with the Cubs with 90 stolen bases on the season. But, yeah, I mean, so, like, guys like Joey Ortiz and Caleb Durbin on the left side of the infield, I know fans are talking about those two guys in particular pretty much all season long. Get some production on the left side because, Joey Ortiz has been swinging the bat fairly well as of late. But, I mean, we even saw it the other night. He lined out at 108 miles per hour right to the left fielder, Ian Happ. And so he's going to have to get hot. Caleb Durbin's going to have to get hot. But otherwise, what do? You go try and find and leverage the future and try and find a bat on the trade market at the deadline. I'm not sure that they're going to do that because of all the young players that they do have currently on the roster and the ones coming. They're going to build for the future. I think they are going to have a chance to get into that third wild card. I'm not punting on the NL Central, and I know that they aren't either. It's just the Cubs look really, really tough right now, especially because they're not swinging the bats and they're still winning games as of late.
Okay, you bring up a great point, and I'm going to ask you as a player, because I remember a few years back, they traded away Hader, and they were first place at the time, and I had a chance, Brandon Wood, if I saw him out at State Fair, and him and I got to talking, and he said, hey, when they traded him away, it just kind of sent the message that they didn't believe in us that year. And as a player, that has a deflating effect in a clubhouse. At what point, if you're Matt Arnold and you're looking at this clubhouse and you've got pitching, you've got defense, you've got speed, and you just need a bat, at what point do the Brewers say, we got to make a move? We can't just keep sitting here going, well, we're competitive. You know what I mean? Because then all of the controversy at the beginning of the season begins to become real when Mark Antanasio said, we're just here for, family fun and entertainment, because that's not what fans are paying to see, right?
Yeah, yes. Here's the thing, Bill. I agree with you. I 100% agree with you. I do see both sides of this thing, though. Okay, because I want to see competitive baseball, quite frankly, and I want to see it for years to come. And I know fans want to see it for years to come as well. And the guys that they have coming in their system, the Jesus Matis, the Luis Peñas, we're talking about players that are in the top 100 prospect lists and can make an impact of the Brewers' future. And then you see a Jacob Mizorowski, who all of a sudden the Brewers have him for the rest of this season and then 6 more years after this season. So, I mean, they have a very, very bright future. Now, do you trade and try and thread the needle? Do you do another Josh Hader deal? I would say probably not, especially because Freddie Peralta, that would be the name, right? Freddie Peralta is your ace. If you do that, then you're in jeopardy of losing the clubhouse again, just like with Josh Hader. But I think fans are starting to understand we do want to see that competitive baseball. Now, if they were in first place and 5 or 6 games up on the Cubs, then no, go for it. Let's go ahead and try and add a bat. Try not to leverage the future so much. But I do think that this is a gettable, even as tight as this NL is. There's a ton of really good teams in this season. The AL is a cakewalk, right? I do think you can still sneak into that wild card. And Bill, we've seen it. If you sneak into that wild card, that means you're playing very good baseball at the end of the season in September, that you're going to go ahead and take that momentum and play that sharp baseball that we saw the Mets play last year and make a run at. That the year before, we saw the Diamondbacks sneak into that third wild card and make a run for it all the way to the World Series. So I think there's an opportunity here to do that. I cannot see them leveraging the future to do that. However, and just because Murphy's got these guys right where he wants them, and as long as you're playing and pitching well and playing great defense and running the bases, like you said, I think they have a chance to sneak in. And I just cannot see them adding like a major addition while, again, trading away a Jesus Mate, who's going to be a huge factor for this Brewers team in 2 years.
That's the other thing. I agree with you because I think we look at Ortiz, and Ortiz is probably one of the guys that's right now on a audition because they're looking at him going, dude, you got to show us something because Mate is knocking at the door to come up.
Cooper
Pratt to come up and start playing. And if you're not going to do something, then maybe I don't think they're going to bring those guys up this year. But it's going to be real soon. It could be down in your spring training next year, and the next thing you know, you start to see these guys. So I agree with you. It's kind of a stuck between a rock and a hard place because fans want it right now. We live in a fast food world. We want to order it. We want it out the window. We want it fast, fresh, and hot. And we want it now. And every year we keep saying, we're trying to win a World Series. We're trying to get there. We want to put 82 in the past, and they're just falling short. And it's frustrating because you're really close to something good, and you don't want to waste what you have here and now, especially when you're talking about a guy being in that clubhouse like yourself going, man, I don't know how many years I have left. I got to be able to win now. And that's where some of the tensions begin to draw between fans, players, and such that want to win.
Yes, I do see that tension. And players can feel that. The city feels that. The fan base feels that. But I want to remind everybody, the Reds are finally drawing fans. They finally have a guy that can build around in Elly De La Cruz. Like, do you want to trade a Jesus Mate or a Luis Pena or a Cooper Pratt where they could perform like an Elly De La Cruz in 2 years and bring those fans to the seats? And that's the group then that you build around and build that championship. In the meantime, you can go for the wild card this season. And again, I'm not punting on the NL Central. The Brewers, they've done stranger things. They can get super hot. The Cubs could have another injury to their starting rotation or maybe the PCA or something. I'm not wishing that on them by any means, but that could happen, and the Brewers could make a run at that Central. However, you can make a run at that wild card this season, and then in 2 years, you can build around that really strong core that includes the Jacob Mizorowski, Cooper Pratt, Jesus Mate, Luis Pena. And the Brewers' ability to acquire talent in the draft and in Latin America, it's unmatched. They're right up there with the Padres in terms of being able to do that. So they're continuing to add those prospects. Now, I'll say this. Okay, so now I'm going to a little bit talk out both sides of my mouth because they made the Christian Yelich trade back in 2017 as well, right, before the 2017 season. So they know which prospects they can punt on, and those guys can be packaged up in a deal to acquire someone. I'm sure those conversations are happening right now, but that talent has to be controllable. They're not going to do that for a rental, a guy that's going to be here for half a season and then sign a big free agent deal. He's got to be controllable. So they will do that as well. And Matt Arnold has surprised us in the past, and David Stearns has surprised us in the past in making a move like that. But it has to be controllable talent, and it's got to be punting on prospects that they don't believe in. So that is a possibility, Bill. I just don't know when that's going to happen, but stay tuned because that's what makes this Brewers team so lovable and so exciting because they can do that. And then in the meantime, if they don't, they're still competitive and they're still going to go for that wild card.
Vinny, it's funny because you sound as stuck in the middle as I am. I understand I understand what's coming up, and I know there's a vision to see all the cream rise to the top at the same time. I get it, and then there's a part of me that goes, I just want to see a winner. So I completely get it. Hey, how big is today's game? Because you certainly don't want to leave Chicago 7.5 down, because then you've really got yourself a hole. Considering you go back to May 18th when they went on that 18-9 run, and they only gained a game, so you can't really afford to fall much further behind. Like you said, this Cubs team's for real.
Yeah, if you don't win today, it's 7.5 back. Then you're really going to be looking uphill at the Chicago Cubs, because as thin as their starting pitching, the Cubs now, as thin as their starting pitching is, with the Justin Steele injury, they're still, performing really well in the bullpen. Their bullpen is the best in baseball the last 30 days by like a run and a half. It's kind of crazy what kind of run they've been on. And we saw this from Craig Counsell in Milwaukee. He just finds guys off the scrap heap and then gives them confidence, puts them in the right spots. All of a sudden, they're pitching exceptionally well. And so I do think you're looking at an uphill battle if you lose today. If you win today, now that's a different story. 5.5 back, the Brewers are still playing very good baseball. And they have some pretty gettable games coming up here. Pittsburgh and Colorado's coming into town here next. So, I do think that they still have a shot at the NL Central. It is an uphill battle. If you lose today, it's a very much steeper climb at 7.5. It seems crazy, just one game, but 7.5 is a much steeper climb than 5.5.
Vinny, great stuff today. I know you're on the pre and the post. I know you're in studio, and at least you'll be cool because it's going to be pretty hot and steamy down there in Chicago, and then we will talk again to you real soon, okay?
Yeah, anytime, Bill. Thanks.
There you go, Vinny Rattino. Couple minutes. Brewers back on top, 4-2. 4-2, doubling up the Cubs right now. And that bottom of the second, Cubs batting 1 out, nobody on. And hopefully the Brewers can at least let that hold up, walk away with the split in the series. And then they would be, 6.5 or 4.5 games back by the time they would leave Chicago. And that's not a bad way to go, because Cincinnati's starting to play some better ball. They're now tied with the Brewers for the second spot right now in the division. So Brewers get a win today. All will be right with the world, and a lot of optimism coming out of Chi-Town before that big series coming up in August. Let's do this. We're going to step out. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back, and when we do, we'll kind of wrap things up and start to preview what's coming up tomorrow. Obviously, tomorrow we're going to talk some Brewers baseball, and looking forward to the weekend series as well. So don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. Whole lot more of the Bill Michaels Show. It's coming up right after this.
Ready? This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Big River Rally coming to La Crosse, Wisconsin, June 27th and 28th. Don't miss the excitement on the main stage Friday night. It's Texas Hippie Coalition. And Saturday night Drowning Pool. Tickets are on sale now. Want more? Follow Big River Rally on social or go to BigRiverRally.com.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
I hope you never need an attorney. We all do at some point, though, right? It doesn't matter what it is, whether it's some kind of civil litigation or an injury, or maybe you just want to take care of some of your own business. Levine Iceburner, they've been doing it a long time, but Brett Iceburner is, he's a veteran, and he's a very trusted guy on the board of directors of Fisher House, Wisconsin. But also, they answer their phone. They're not a bunch of figureheads just talking at you. You know what I'm saying? They're the people that actually answer the phone. They actually go to court. How about that? They actually go to court for you. Levine Iceburner, whether it's personal injury or civil litigation, a contract dispute, something for your business, just to get your business up and going and legal and all that kind of stuff. They do all of that stuff. So check out Levine Iceburner. Call them directly, 608-621-2888, 608-621-2888, 608-621-2888. That is Levine Iceburner, and they are right here in the state of Wisconsin. So coming up tomorrow on the program, hopefully we're talking about a Brewers win. Brewers right now with Christian Yelich getting a base knock up the middle and Churio going first to third. They've got runners in scoring position. They are currently leading the Cubs 4-2, top of the third right now with nobody out. So, man, played a couple of runs. That'd be fantastic. And then let Freddie Peralta. There's a base knock up the middle, and there you go. You got another run crossing the plate. 5-2. The Brewers are up on the Cubs. I like it. I like it a lot. That being said, but hopefully we'll be talking about a Brewers win tomorrow. Grant, you're in studio here tomorrow, so you and I will be sharing the same space.
Yeah, correct. So that'll be fun
or something, or maybe grill out during the show or something like that.
Well, if you want me to pick something up on the way, I can. I know Steve Zaki's going to join us from the track tomorrow.
Yeah.
With any luck, we might be able to talk to a driver or somebody from IndyCar as part of Fox's team. We are efforting. But you know how it works, right? They can't plan ahead when everything's going on up there. So that'll be tomorrow too. And hopefully, like you said, we can celebrate a Brewers win.
Yeah, it'd be great if the Brewers get themselves a win and then back at it for the weekend, as we all know. So if the Brewers get the win and they knock off the Cubs, then all will be right with the world. And you'll be figuring this team will only be, 5.5, 4.5 games back, whatever it is. And as they start to kind of sprint towards, then they get the Minnesota Twins. That's not an easy team to get past before they come back home for that 6-game homestand against the craptastic Pittsburgh Pirates and the even more craptastic Colorado Rockies. And you look forward to next week and those teams rolling into, American Family Field. Then they go to New York and take on the New York Mets. And it's not going to be easy. Mets got it going on. So you would like to get 2 out of 3 against Minnesota. And then, God, you like to take 5 out of 6 in the homestand. That'd be fantastic. Head into New York. Then you got the Marlins after that before you get the Dodgers and the Washington Nationals that come rolling through to wrap up the first. I can't believe we're already talking about wrapping up the first half of the season. That's all that's left. 6-7 series left in the first half of the season.
Summer's flying by.
Yeah. You got the Minnesota Twins, Pittsburgh Pirates, Colorado Rockies, Mets, Miami Marlins, Dodgers, and Nationals. And then we are at the All-Star break. And at that point in time, I am hanging out on the deck, smoking a cigar, having a beverage on vacation. There you have it. Good stuff. Yes. All right, that'll do it. Good stuff today for starting out. My apologies, but it started out wild, wacky, and weird. And I'm going to blame Evo and Kate and Austin for that. So we'll get more into that tomorrow, yeah. All right, that's going to do it. Until we talk again, hopefully the Brewers get a win, man. Until we talk again, 20